the Suez Canal,
Yeah.
the Cape of Good Hope, and I think we've got another fourth passage. But that passage above Russia is becoming the fifth passage, which might become the very strategic and important passage in the future in the trade in the future in trade. So of
Mm.
course they want to mark their territory. The Americans and the French and the British are already there. Now Russia has to defend itself. My point is this: we have always believed that America is so all this mighty powerful, at least for the past 20 or 30 years. And it's still powerful. I'm not saying America is not powerful. We all can agree that America is very powerful, very sophisticated,
Mm.
military and well
Extremely
developed,
powerful. Yeah.
extremely powerful. But they always made it as if Russia is an inferior military. Hey, my man, they can actually go hand to hand, man. Russia is something else as well.
Russia, Russia, Russia is like a kind of, how do I put it, a brawler. While Americans will come with all their sophistication, and Russia, I'm like, okay, you want to do that? I will show you. I can do this.
Yeah.
You know, when Russia were talking about all this, America was talking about missile defense shield. Russia was like, yeah, this is a missile defense shield. We just built a rocket that can split into bits, and good luck with trying to stop our nuclear weapons from getting through. So
So now,
Russia has
so
always
like,
had answer to whatever America does. Always.
I know that Russia has had that secret organization. Even Putin used to serve it. What do they call it? Because America's got CIA, I think.
Yeah.
I forgot the one that is in Russia.
Yeah, I've forgotten the
Just
name actually.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Just to explain how they got hold of technology, because Russia has got a way of kind of like advancing. Whether I don't know if it's coming internally or somehow they go around stealing or observing other technologies. How do they do it? Because these guys got in the moon as well. If that is all true, they
No, Russia
actually
is
got.
advanced now. You see, where Russia is losing out is their economic access. They don't have access to the world
Yeah,
the way the West does. So that
yes,
is their
yes.
problem. You know, they are quite advanced. They were just as advanced as they was. They was more, as a matter of fact, at some point, they were more advanced because they went to space first. You know, so
It was under the Soviet Union. Actually,
yeah.
I was watching this documentary that was narrating the Soviet Union and what they achieved, and it was like a total different world from ours, bro. Like when you look at those documentaries, it's like they lived on another planet in a different era and period, and they were doing
Yeah.
things like they were moving different and doing their own science and physics, bro. I was like, how can this happen in a parallel time? The same way with the West, and they were isolated from the rest of us. We didn't know even about this. They were doing their own manufacturing, bro. Like they were
Yeah.
hectic.
They've always been that way, and this is why sometimes the way I talk, people don't understand that because the narrative that the West has painted to make Russia look like they are not that advanced. No, yeah, they've always been advanced. It's just that the areas that they choose to be advanced in is mostly strategic weapons. They didn't
Yeah.
go into consumables, and because they don't have access, they don't have that much access to the world.
Because they don't even have service based like how the West has grown to become a service based economy. They don't even have much
Mm.
services going on. Like now, if you're going to maybe prioritize Russia, for example, and say we're going to do most trade with them. In terms of
Mm.
service base, they're not really developed, so you won't gain much as compared to the West. The West are
Mm.
really developed in terms of that.
It's really interesting actually because you can like you know how you have like the Nokia phone made in I think Sweden or one of these Nordic and this is Scandinavian
The
countries.
Nordic, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and you will have another company made in Canada, but you hardly see any of this technology that we use in the modern day made in Russia because for some reason their technology is not it doesn't get out there. One and
No, no,
I
no,
think
no.
it's partly to do with their language and but I don't think it's only language. I think there's also blockage by the West.
Yeah, no,
They are trying to
I don't
contain
think,
them.
man, technology is technology. You can use it. I don't think it's language. I think there's a blockage. And I think that the Anglo-Saxons, what do you call them? The Anglo, it's correct, right?
Anglo-Saxons. Anglo-Saxon,
Yes.
yeah, you're correct.
I think they fear the Russians, and I think it's because of the historic experience and all that. I think it stems from a very deeper place. I think they fear them, and they fear the potential they have. You know,
They fear their
when you look
potential.
at it, it's
You,
something deeper than what
you
you can
see,
the eye can actually.
as a nation, historically, if I look at Russia's history from what I know so far, maybe there's more that that is not very good. But if I look at Russia's history, they have actually been very honorable as a nation.
Oh yes. Yeah, yeah.
People that keep attacking them, people keep attacking them repeatedly. They
They
rarely actually be the one that negotiate, that initiate wars and just start invading
no, no,
everybody. People
no.
keep troubling them every time, and I think the reason why people keep troubling them is because they have so much land. So
Yeah,
people want to take it from them.
they've got so much resources. Russia is one of those exceptional countries that can actually close its borders and still survive. They can literally almost
Mm.
manufacture everything they want and eat from their own. I think that's the envy the Western Europe have, because if you look at the land of Russia and you look at what is remaining in the West, teenager, you will understand why they resent them. You know, you can't have this big pipe and then you
Yeah, one of the by far the largest country in the world, and look at you, but tiny. And you don't have the population. You don't have. You just want to take over a whole lot
no,
of this.
you
People
know,
don't like that.
and Russia, I don't know many. I've never read many times in books or documentaries where Russia is going out and trying to invade other countries. You know, it's always these other Western countries. Remember, Napoleon tried to take in Moscow,
Oh,
and
Napoleon regretted that one now very quickly. Anyone that goes out there, they tend to regret it very quickly. That, oh no, 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 I can't.
and,
You
and
know
the
when some,
the
some snakes try
Mongolians.
to swallow some animals, and when they try to swallow it halfway, they find out that it was too big to swallow. Then the snake, the kind of vomit the prey out. That's how
Yeah.
anybody that tries to go after Russia feels. Like you
No, no,
like,
they all
oh,
fail. They all fail, man. Even
this
I
is
don't know if the
delicious. I'm about to
Mongolians.
take over. Eh?
I don't know if the Mongolians succeeded
I think
in
Mongolia,
taking them.
oh my god, Mongolia was brutal, man. They succeeded. They completely tore
Yeah,
Russia one.
they didn't take the entire Russia, but I think they conquered some of their
Yes,
land.
yes. You,
Yeah,
you
and the
can't take over the
Persians they
entire
took it
Russia.
first.
It's too hard to take
But
over the whole.
The Russians are one of the most difficult people to conquer historically. Even the Ukrainians, you know how stubborn those people are. Remember, they are just as the same as the Russians. You know, I've heard that they.
I also gather that the Russians took some territories from the Chinese. If I'm not mistaken, that the Russia that is today is not as big as the historical one. That they took some
No, of
land
course.
last century from the
I,
Chinese
I,
or one
I,
other group, the
I,
Mongols or something.
Look, tonight, I don't know if it's the Chinese that is the Russians that took the Chinese land or it was the other way around. I don't know if
Oh,
it's
is
the
it that way
Chinese
around?
that
That's why they have so many
yeah,
Chinese in Russia. They have a lot of
yeah,
Chinese speakers in Russia.
it could be that the Chinese took their land and the Russians claimed it back, through victory. I don't think. I think it's the other way
Yeah,
around.
if you look at the Russia, their population and the size of the country and the areas that they took over, you will find that it is, from what I gather anyway, in the report, I didn't know that there was an invasion. They took a large speck of land, maybe not only from the Chinese, also from the Mongols and all the other. They took a lot of
Yeah,
land. The Slavs went and took those land. But that said, in the last century, most times people just keep trying to attack them. But let me say this, so maybe this will be encouraging to Africans actually. One of the stories I found recently was about Napoleon. When during the French Revolution, there was this was the French, what they were doing then was unheard of in Europe, and all the other nations in Europe had monarchies, kingdoms, and with their kings and all the rest. And they saw this country killing their king, beheading their king. They can't have it, so they wanted to invade France. They ganged up against France, and Napoleon defeated them. As a matter of fact, the forces that they used to attack France, I think it's bigger than the French military by about 5 to 10 to 1. And Napoleon defeated them without losing barely any, compared to the numbers, barely anybody.
how
And
did he do that? How did he do that?
that's why do you think they consider Napoleon the greatest commander of all time? The
Hmm.
guy is exceptional. I think people need to study him. He's
He
exceptional.
was he was very strategic, and from what I've read, the basic knowledge that I have, he was good in spotting smart commanders. Like if you are very intelligent, he will quickly rise you into power, because he even gave smart black commanders positions.
I didn't know that.
There's this famous black guy who rose quickly to power when he was trying to conquer Peter, this city in Russia. What is the name? Peter, is it
Saint
Peter Marie?
Petersburg.
Saint Peter, yes, yes. Which
Petersburg.
I think they succeeded in conquering Moscow. They
Oh
failed
yeah, they
when they
conquered
were.
they conquered Moscow.
Yeah. Napoleon actually did conquer Moscow.
Russians
I
are
think he
wicked,
did.
man. Russians are wicked, man. Look at the strategy. They
No,
conquered Moscow. Both
no,
the
he,
Russian. You know, I told you, that this is. Hold on now. Let me say this because I really enjoy this
mm,
part. This
mm,
part is that, like, when I tell Africans that all these people they say they're going to invade Africa. If I was even in charge, I would say, let them come. I would just leave. And that's it. In a way, when I found out the story about Napoleon last week when I was watching it, they said that's what they did. That's what the Russians did to them. Napoleon invaded
yeah,
Moscow, and the Russians left. Like, okay, take
yeah.
it. Then when winter came, they
But
discovered
you
that they
know,
are going to be in trouble. Then they started retreating. Go ahead.
and the funny part is Napoleon took Moscow and he was still continuing going in, and they had to retrieve and gather together. I think it was under Saint Peter's. You call it Saint Peter's. That's where they came back and attacked, and eventually they won, and Napoleon retreated back.
They had to
I think
retreat now.
yeah, yeah,
He didn't
but
have the
they had
supply lines, so it was too difficult to maintain. Because if you don't conquer a people and hold on to them and have them generate wealth for you,
hmm.
you're gonna die in that territory, especially when you're far
Yeah,
from home. You're gonna die there.
but you see, Russia has got one of the most complicated geography and hard to study. It's only Russians who know it, and it's huge. So Napoleon fell into many traps because he didn't understand the geography that well. But I must say, he's a special case, as you said, Tunaya, that people might study it because he went as far as conquering Moscow. Nobody come, you don't get to Moscow, man. He went as far as taking Moscow. That's if I remember correctly. I hope I'm not
Yeah,
wrong. But he
I
is
think I
one of
think it
the
was nice though. I think it was nice
yeah.
because if he was coming the way some conquerors come in, like if they don't find anybody in Moscow and they discover that these people are trying to ruin their spirits, they will burn the Moscow down and destroy the entire thing. But they didn't do that. They retreated back
Hmm.
without necessarily destroying Moscow. But that said, anyway, what
If I
the
remember,
message I wanted to get out was that even
Tunaja,
when the entire
wait,
world is against you, you could survive it.
hmm.
And France
Tunaja,
survived the entire Europe.
wait. Actually, since you mentioned the Benin things, if I remember correctly from my memory, the Russians retreat from Moscow when they heard Napoleon is coming, and they actually set everything into
Ah, yeah,
fire.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They destroyed everything. So
Yeah,
they
yeah.
can't,
They bend
those
everything.
guys are
They bend,
wicked,
yeah,
man.
they bend everything. Yeah, if I
Oh, you want to
remember
come and
correctly.
survive on this land? Let's see whether you're going to get any food to
Yeah,
eat.
yeah.
They destroyed
I don't know
everything.
if that's smart, but I mean, when you don't have options, you do everything to resist the enemy, right? So
It's very
it was,
smart now because you don't give them succor in your land so that they will
yes,
suffer in that land. They don't have
and
much to
then
eat.
and leave. Yeah,
Leave them
exactly.
alone. Let them come and enjoy a free land. There's no food.
Yeah,
I hope you enjoy it. When winter comes, you are going to meet
yeah,
trouble. Very clever
yeah,
tactics. And many people
yeah.
fail to
But
recognize that. And Hitler made the same mistake again. It's like, what is wrong with this? They
uh,
just keep going to Russia.
Hitler started by being smart, but I wouldn't put it next to Napoleon. I think he was good in his own way, but Hitler got so much cocky and he got stupid at the end. He I think Hitler could have won whatever was happening if he was smart and surrounded himself with smart commanders and not undermine them. See, he was becoming more of a dictator at the end, so I think that's where he lost because the Germans were defending many from
Hitler
many
was
sides.
so
They were
stupid, it's not even funny. Hitler was so stupid that it's not even funny.
yeah, yeah,
Because I
yeah.
don't know, I was listening to some documentary about it. I think they were just talking about something, but they said Hitler was always looking at conquering the East. I was like, how stupid is that? Or Germany,
Why
you should
will
be
you want
conquering
to
the
fight the
West.
West? Why
Exactly,
will
the
you
West is.
why will who fight the West and the East at the same time? Why will he go in Russia and try to invade the Red Army while he's still defending the West? How stupid do you have to be? How cocky do you have to be
If it
to think
was
that
me, the first people I would go after is the West because that's where
exactly,
most of the resources are. Why go after
exactly,
Russia? And I don't know
exactly.
what kind of thinking that is. That was a bad
And he
idea.
got what was waiting for him. he got,
Yeah.
he got it.
Terrible land to go and try to invade. Maybe what he was thinking was that if I defeat Russia, I'll have a lot of land mass for my people to,
He was
grow
supposed
food
to
and all the
unite
rest.
with them. He was supposed to unite to forge an ally with the
Yeah,
Russians in
with the
that moment.
Russians.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was being cagey about it and he didn't trust them. And he should have because Russians were always against the West. Even when
they
they
are,
finished the war, they were against the West
and,
still.
and, and culturally and genetically, they are very close to the Germans, man.
Yeah. and that was the
So
stupid one. That was one of the most stupid things Hitler did
yeah,
in this time. Well, why would you go after
exactly.
Russia? And Russia didn't even declare war against them, and they are the one that declared war against Russia.
No, and
I,
they forced them to form a temporary ally with the United States and the Chechen Hill army.
mm,
So yeah, that
you
was a
should,
stupid
if
move,
I
man.
if I was Germany, after taking France, I will prioritize taking this thing, Britain, and taking over Spain. Those are the three hit countries you take, because when you take them, you take the rest of the world with them.
You
And you
think
see,
if you have to, I think collapsing the West will mean you take the British and the French first before the Spanish, man. I
yes,
think
yes.
the French are the French
They,
and the
they, they
British
own all
are,
South America. They own all South America and a few other countries in Africa. So you take
yeah,
you got Germany already. You take France, take Britain, and take this
yeah.
thing. Once you
Then
take
you own
those,
the world.
yes, you
Then you
own the
own the
world.
world.
You have all
Yeah.
the resources coming from all these colonies, and you use them to
Man,
fight the others.
Hitler was stupid. Look, Hitler was good in manipulating the masses and driving them. But strategically, I don't think you can put him next to Napoleon, man. He did some stupid moves at the end, man.
He was too much in a hurry. Almost all the wars, from what I got that he went into, the early phases, they were brilliant. And he
Yeah,
took on too much too quickly, and
yeah,
they were, and stupidly too. There was no reason for some of the war. Napoleon wasn't just going to fighting everybody. He just
yeah.
everybody wanted to fight France. Then that's the problem. Everybody
He
wanted
was
to fight France, so that's why
he
he
was
had to come out.
he was also driven by a stupid ideology. Remember, Napoleon was not obsessed with race superiority. He just wanted to conquer for resources. Hitler had this also ideology of wanting to wipe certain groups out, like completely wipe them out. So I think that was just he was, man, that was a his approach was very very
I didn't know
strange.
that. I
It
didn't
was
know
very
that
strange.
Napoleon was just looking to conquer for conquering sake. Because the story, the way it was told, most of it anyway, maybe some of them he went for conquest. Most of it was that the others were his enemy. They were looking to attack him. They were looking to destroy his country.
Yeah,
Because remember,
yeah.
at that time, everybody wanted to destroy a republic. They
Fine.
don't want a
Yeah.
republic to survive. Just like when you have a socialist system now, everybody wants to destroy it. And
Yes,
that's how
yes.
it was. Everybody wants to destroy a republic then. And
Yeah,
this man
he mm.
single-handedly kept a republic standing, and I think that was his major legacy. I didn't even know that until I
Yeah,
heard some of his history.
he fought the necessary wars. Napoleon he fought necessary wars, whereas Hitler was just something else. I mean, look, I respect the Germans of that time, and they are very they are very stubborn and they fight hard. You know, like what they were doing. You can only imagine which country, which empire have you ever seen fighting the East and the West at the same time? I mean, they were literally
That's
fighting the
crazy. One country. That's crazy. And they were
bruh. That
so
was
good, man. They were so
bruh,
good.
the Germans are something else, man. You got to respect them, bro. Like they were something else. I must say, you know, like
Every military they fought, they were
yeah,
pushing them back in the first
man,
early
man.
stage. They just ran out
So
of steam. That's all. From what I got, they were very, very good. But
yeah,
I
they were
think
failed by their leaders. They were failed by their leaders, to be honest.
yeah, the highest level, that's where they were failed, because those strategic
Yeah,
ones that were thinking strategically completely
yeah,
messed the war up. If it was somebody like in a way, Napoleon did fail to an extent in the end, but he accomplished a lot. The defeats that he heaped on all the people that were coming after his country, it's unbelievable that when they even conquered him at first, they didn't kill him. They had to put him on an island because they respected him. That the people that he
oh
defeated,
yeah, yeah,
they
yeah,
respected him so much. And to tell you how much they respect this guy, that the guy that helped defeat him, the Duke of Wellington in the UK, and one of the Russians worked together to defeat him. Two nations had to defeat him. And then
you know,
when they asked the
you know,
guy, that Duke of Wellington, who is the greatest general of all time, he said, "There shall be no other now, after now, or anything than Napoleon that he helped defeat."
yeah,
He said, "There is
yeah.
nobody better than that guy." And
But you
because
see,
the casualty that he suffers is so little compared to some of the militaries he destroys. That
but
shows you the expertise of the guy. Sorry, go ahead.
you see how the British are so ungrateful. They depended so many times from the Russians to rescue like to rescue Europe from collapsing or from being taken over by one imperial force. But they always go back and betray the Russians, man. So many times. I don't know why. I think that's the bitter pill. That's why the Russians
Everybody
sometimes are
hates the Russians. With that their big land, everybody's jealous. They hate
hey,
the
man.
Russians. Their land is
I
too
mean, I
big.
don't know. I feel like the Russians deserve much credit than they get in, man. I feel like they've done so much
Yeah,
for Europe.
I feel bad a little bit for them that people
Yeah,
they tend to give them a bad rap in Europe quite a
yeah,
lot. They treat them
yeah,
as if
yeah,
they're always like, oh, Russians are the bad guys. But in
yeah.
reality, it's the Europeans that are jealous. They
In
have
reality, it's the opposite. Yeah, it's the opposite in reality.
it's jealousy. That it's just like when you are jealous of somebody, you just have to malign them and try to make them
Yeah,
look bad.
yeah.
Russians were giving Germany oil and gas and
And
doing
look what
business with
happened.
Germany. And look at what
Look
happened.
what
That they went
happened.
and severed the gas and caused trouble within them and Russia. It's just on and on. It just keeps happening. And from what I
And
gather, Russia did most of they lost more people in the World War than any
yeah,
single nation.
apparently
They made a big sacrifice.
they lost more than 21 million, if I'm correct, of their own people.
Yeah,
And
that's a
during World
lot of
War,
people.
that's the biggest number. That's the one that's bigger than many countries in the world.
Yeah,
That's a country on its own. 21
yeah.
million of
Many African countries are not up to that amount. Many
yeah,
African countries are not up to that amount at all. And this
yeah.
guy went to Stalin. That Stalin guy, man. Like, the guy was a man. Like
But Stalin is
he was
something else,
steel.
man.
The guy.
I don't understand that guy sometimes, man. In the beginning, he got things a bit right, and then I don't know, man. I don't know.
I think
I,
what
I
Stalin
think they go.
saw. See, I have to say it, man. I have to say this, man. Stalin. I don't think Africa has produced people like Stalin. What Stalin saw
No,
was what Stalin saw was that, and I think Lenin saw it too. When they were coming in, they saw that other European countries are advancing, while the Russian only monarchy and they were busy having serfs and living like an agrarian economy
yeah,
where they were not
yeah,
advanced at all. So these
mm.
people felt like if we carry on like this, we are going to lose.
Yeah.
And
We're gonna be
so
overtaken.
yes, so they started their industrialization drive. That was, and they were going at it massively.
Yeah,
they were not looking back. And when if you think Lenin was going at it at full speed, and one of the reasons why he did that, he felt like the people were not understanding the situation, and
mm.
because socialism is meant to bring the people in, but
Yeah,
when most of the stuff is flying over their head, so they had to go dictatorial and make sure this thing gets done very quickly. So when Lenin was moving quite quickly, but Stalin felt like no, that's too slow. And after the World War, because Stalin held on, and after that ended, and they saw that America too was advancing very fast, he had to advance. Even they had to do all they can to catch up, because what they fear was that these people still have ambition of taking Russia from them. So they had
yeah,
to do everything that they needed to do, and that guy caused the death of so many people. They said there's not been
yeah.
any one man that's caused the death of so many people than Stalin.
And
The
Stalin,
guy,
yeah, he was terrible, man. He became
Jesus
something.
Christ, man, he was brutal. But they said by the time he was done, they call him the most successful dictator. By the time he was done, his country was a superpower. His country was going to the moon and back. He died peacefully and buried. A dictator, a ruthless one.
Yeah,
He caused the death of so many millions. And yet, this is what happened.
yeah.
And what that tells you is that nations are willing to forgive you if you deliver. No matter how bad it is, they are willing to forgive you if you deliver. If they can forgive Stalin, that is crazy. A
You
man
know,
that
you
has
know,
got many debts.
I think Europeans historically have seen so much death in their life that to an extent that it became not much. Like I think they've experienced so much wars, and that's why their population at some point was very small, and even to this day they suffered the effects of that. So I think they can forgive because they've seen so much trouble, man. The Europeans have went through a lot. If we really be honest in terms of wars, they had own
Oh
tribal
yes.
wars. You remember the era or the period of the Vikings as well. What those guys
Yeah.
were doing up there, yeah, they were something else, man. They were on another level.
The last century, that's when they had what they call their total war, and it's very rare they go into total war mode. Even when they came to Africa, it wasn't total war, because when you say total
No.
war, even like when you win, you don't need to fight anymore. And many African countries, some of them tribes, they just surrendered, so they didn't have to worry about killing them as much. But some people that went into total war, you see that they go about killing until they almost all the tribe is they run out of people to kill. And in Europe, that's what happened in the early centuries. You know, in the First World War, and it happened in the Second World War. It was so bloody. It was so bloody, and the world has never seen that kind of war anymore. In a way, Vietnam War came close to that, but it's still not total war.
World War II, I don't think we have ever seen a thing like World War II in the past. Like
no, nothing like that. Nothing like that. Even Afghanistan war, nothing like that has ever happened in the world again. If any country goes into a total war right now, I tell you, the world will lose it. Even the world allies will turn on you, because total war means you want to totally destroy the other people, to totally surrender. And to do that, you literally have to kill so many people. Even Russia with Ukraine now is not a total war, or not even close.
No, that's not even close, man. I think Putin, to be honest, is a good leader. He's a very soft leader, and I don't think he likes to spill blood, man. I think he's a necessary leader, and he will go down as one of the best Russian.
He's a very soft leader. The West hate him now because he's not giving way.
Yeah,
he's a very soft leader. You're right.
If
I was like I was a black nation and I was in like Putin had all his power, I will allow America to push me around. I will not allow America to push me around even close to how much he allowed America to push me around.
That guy is an alpha man. He's very responsible and very logical, man. I think the things that American leaders have put him through, man, they've poked him so much that if it was me, I was gonna even use nuclear weapon, man. I could have pressed out those.
I think Russia is lucky to have a leader that is so kind of level-headed. He is so level-headed. It's not even funny. It's like a reptile. He's so cold-blooded. He doesn't overreact, and he always reacts appropriately to whenever.
I mean, that guy dealt with Bush. He dealt with Barack Obama. He dealt with Trump. I think he had his best relationship was with Trump. Not best, but it was the tensions were lesser when Trump was a president. And then
Trump believes in Trump. If Trump was in office, Russia and this in America would have become allies. That is if Trump is able to quell the military industrial complex in America. By that I mean the Anglo-Saxon instinct.
Oh yeah. Okay, you answered yourself. I was about to say that, because Trump, for me, he was just a clown, man. And like, look, the thing is, the American presidents are not leaders, right? They're not the ones who are necessarily leaders.
Yeah. It's going to be hard to challenge.
It's going to have to be
but Trump was trying, though. Trump was trying. Trump was challenging the CIA, challenging the FBI, challenging all of them.
That's why he was kicked out, and I don't think he's ever going to come back to power. I can see, I can see the trend now, but I don't think they're going to give him that position, because he's not a warmonger, and the machine needs someone who's a warmonger. So
this is why I think we have to be careful here, because I feel like the calculation might change in the hearts of most European or even Anglo-Saxons, that keeping America away, Russia away from Western Europe is all good when you are the only one in charge. But if they fear now that the BRICS is coming and becoming stronger and stronger, and which the main power that they are worried about in there is China, they could decide that, just like they did before when they went and did a deal with China to pull China away from Soviet Union, they could decide that, you know what, especially with the instinct of Trump, to work with Russia to pull Russia away from China. In other words, divide the BRICS organization.
That won't be good for us, man. They better keep the tension high.
Definitely would be good for us. Even I know that. Even I know that one. I
don't want that to happen, man. As long as they're stupid enough to fight their tribal differences, then keep Russia away, then that's good for us. Divide and conquer. They divided us to Niger. Why can't we divide them? Divide and
conquer. I'm always torn when I see things divide people that I feel like is good for us to an extent. Like, why am I supporting people dividing and fighting each other? But in reality, it's true. If they are divided, as a matter of fact, what America is doing in Europe helps Africa to an extent.
It benefits us, bro.
Because if
I
Russia
don't
and
think
Europe
BRICS
come
will
together
exist.
with America, that's dangerous for us.
I don't
That's
think
dangerous for us.
BRICS wouldn't exist if Russia had peace with the West and America, man. Thanks to their tribal wars.
Yeah, yeah. Let's hope that they keep it going, at least not out of control. And we as the people on the continent, we have to be careful to invite
Yeah, that's
them to
true.
fight on the continent,
That's
because
true.
I think I've seen cases in history where they use other nations as a kind of battleground to do their fighting.
Didn't they also fight in Algeria or Morocco? One of those during World War
Yeah,
II when Roosevelt was crossing to. Remember, Roosevelt came through North Africa. He to get to the south of Yemen because
yeah.
they were also in Poland and I think Italy to an extent. They took over Italy, if I'm correct, as well.
Yeah,
So
these people, even the Italians, that well, I just heard about what the Italians did with Ethiopia too. They attacked Ethiopia with mustard gas, all kinds of weapons
oh
that they
yeah,
used. They were
yeah.
brutal with this Italy. And Mussolini, from what they said, he defeated this thing. They said that was the precursor to the Second World War. Because that is what they call total war. What
Oh,
Mussolini did with Ethiopia, they use everything, chemical weapon, when they don't have to, on civilians. They were targeting civilians, literally.
okay. Yeah,
So
they can be savages, man. Like look at what is happening with Gaza. Do you think that is necessary to be bombing kids and hospitals?
not
Man,
at
these
all,
people can be savages.
not even close. I've always been saying it, and there was this Nigerian guy that was supporting Israel. I was like, what is wrong with you? Why are you saying that it was Hamas and it's okay that they should be killing people? He didn't say it was okay, but he was making an excuse for Israel, that Israel has to do what they have to do. I was like, but they don't
You,
have to bomb so many places. If you're going to, how can you be going after people inside tunnels and you're destroying all the structures everywhere? That is
you
crazy.
know,
All you have to do is
you
get a
know,
hole and figure out a way to smoke them out from that hole. That's all you
you
do.
know, sometimes here in South Africa, I've got the EFF members, and they seem to be very brave, right? The EFF supporters. Sometimes you chat with them, they're like, "Yeah, we need to kick these people out and do that." And I'm like, "Look, don't forget to do everything diplomatically, because if you want to go all out with these people, they can get dirty as far. Like they are true savages." Sometimes I remind these people that you know what you're dealing with. These are people who can kill with impunity and they don't care. You get what I'm saying
Mm,
tonight? So
yeah.
when you poke the bear, and I always tell them, none of you guys are just talking on phones now and the comfort of being where you are. It's like when they say Mandela was a sellout. I always say, you know what? Be careful of what you are saying right there, because if it could have been worse. We could have been went to a direct war, and how many of you could have survived?
No,
Before you say,
I don't subscribe to the idea that we should be afraid of conflict, because in the end, they are
tonight,
already killing you anyway. So
yeah,
there is no
but
need to
tonight,
pretend as if you're not dying.
yeah, but tonight also as a leader, if you are in charge of a command, you are a commander of a military, or you taking your country to a war, you calculate the war first, right? You say, is this a suicide or it's a war that my people can withstand and I can take chances in winning? Just like what Zelensky did. Zelensky went to a war that he knew it was a suicide. That's not a smart move. As a leader, you take your people to a war that you know that you stand a better chance of winning. You just don't just go to a war blindly and get annihilated and say I was brave.
No,
That's
no,
not
no.
being brave.
I don't think that is it. See, Zelensky went into a war that doesn't have any win in it. That's the difference. Even if he won, what is he going to get from beating Russia? It's the West that's going to inherit it. So there is no win. There was no real need. Russia was never a threat to this thing. This in Ukraine, there was nothing there. Russia was not sapping Ukraine of his power or his wealth,
Let me give
yet
let me give you
he went to war
let
with
me
them.
give you let me give you a typical example. If Nelson Mandela was recruited by the MK, which was our black military defense force that was ready to test and fight for our land against the regime government, which was very well armed. It was I think third strongest military in the world at that time. If Mandela said, you know what, let's go to war, let's not take this deal, it's not favoring us, they killing us anyway. What
Yes.
don't you think that that's worse than the deal Mandela took, which is like a long walk to prepare to maybe the future war when you're ready. I'm someone who believes in if I'm not ready to fight now, if I can buy time and rest my soldiers, I'll do that and feed them and have them have stamina and muscles. Then when they ready, I can come back to fight. That's
You
the
see, you
philosophy
see,
I
you see
believe.
what has happened here. You see, that's the thing. Making that calculation, it could work, but it could leave you completely vulnerable. What I found,
Annihilation.
you see, when I did the calculation recently, was that when if you look at Nigeria as a nation today, when the Europeans
Mm,
arrived, if
mm,
the Nigerian nation itself, as they stand today, were united as a people,
mm,
and they took on the British. They were not the British
mm.
was not going to be able to take them on. They didn't have the
No, no,
numbers. So even if
no,
they
they
fought that
won't.
war for 10, they wouldn't have won. Because
Mm.
that but now the British can win. Technically, they can win the war today. Why? Because they've become stronger while we're busy being nice with them. They become even stronger.
I don't think it's been nice, Niger. I mean, you have explained the problem previously, and they kept on growing. That's true, but I don't think it happened because we were just nice to them. I mean, they were strong. We have to accept. You, if you cannot accept when someone is stronger than you, then you are walking into a suicide. That's like you now. You don't even work out, but you're challenging Batista. He's gonna annihilate you.
No,
He's just gonna.
I
Then you
think
won't
that
even exist to see tomorrow.
see, to an extent, you can say that maybe when they came in 300 years ago, maybe even 200 years ago. But
Mm,
after the First and Second World War, when the rest of the world is challenging and getting out of it, like
mm.
Vietnam took them on. Vietnam took America on, the most powerful country in the world, head on. And America didn't hold back.
Yeah,
North
but then
Korea,
that's
North
yeah,
Korea took
that's
America
impressive.
on, head
What's
on.
up, y'all?
So, and they
Yeah,
survived
but
it.
you see, okay, that's a fair example. But I think they understood their geography much more and they prepared. I don't think we were that organized, man. The entire continent, I don't think we were organized at that level. The
We,
Vietnam, they something
I
else.
don't know. I think that the chain of events didn't favor us enough. That's the problem. The chain of events was that we were defeated and they went on to a kind of brainwash all our leaders and culture them to sympathize with them. So when
Yeah,
they
yeah.
left, they didn't live in a conflict like the way they did with in Vietnam, because Vietnam has socialist movement, and so they were not. They didn't come. They didn't do it remotely like they do with African countries, where they just sponsor the removal of a leader, but they don't come. This is why they avoid coming to Africa directly, like the way they did with Vietnam. If they
Mm.
did, African countries would have opened their eyes by now. They would have seen that, oh my, oh, this is how people roll. We too are going to roll like that. We are going to
So
roll with
tonight,
you at this level.
Yo, can I add something?
are you saying Hamas is leading Israel to the Vietnam caves? So sort of flex up. You can go ahead. I just wanted to say that.
That
No,
is
no, I'm
probably
Tonight,
what
good.
Hamas is. You see, it tells you that no matter how small you are, Hamas is a very, very good example, actually. Most African
yeah,
nations cannot even build tunnels like Hamas has done. And it's a very, very
exactly,
small entity. Look at what they are able
exactly,
to do. If we
exactly.
can do that, can you imagine what we can accomplish? This is our land. We have mountains, we have
Yeah,
hills, we
man.
have everything. If we build our bunkers, these are not even advanced technology. If you build your bunkers, prepare for
Yeah,
anything that they throw at you. Then they can't win. They don't have the numbers. They can't be everywhere. They're
that's
not
actually a
gods.
good point. That's a good point. Flex up. Go ahead, brother. That's a good point tonight.
Yeah, so
Mm,
I agree with two Niger, right? It's based on
Mm,
circumstances, right? Not
mm,
everybody starts on the same from the same spot on the board, the game
mm,
board when it comes to geopolitics. You're right next to Europe. They literally have
mm,
to use less resources to get to you than to get to those Asian nations that you're talking about. That's why I don't even like comparing the same situations. Yes, there's things that you can learn, but we have a different situation, so we have to deal with it differently
mm,
than other
mm.
parts of the
True.
world.
That's
So
true. That's true.
that's what we got to remember. It takes less physical resources to get to us, even in the present day. It did back then and it still does today. You
That's a
know,
good point.
they will use less jet fuel to get to you and where you are. For example, in West Africa in particular, right? They're going to use
Mm,
less jet fuel to get to you and pass through less countries airspace to get to you than they would
Well,
need to get to,
Yeah, but the problem is
Southeast
that they
Asia.
don't even bother fighting us directly. They know if they do that in the context
There's
of the modern world.
there's no reason to, because there's no consensus that you've created to challenge anything.
Yeah,
You The internal organization, due to, various factors. We can talk about our diversity, we can talk about, our geographies and how that, separates or unites. We can talk about, all of these things, right? That puts us in a position where we have to form consensus even better than other parts of the world in order to really counteract some of these things that you're complaining about.
see,
You see?
most of the world don't have consensus. Actually, most of the world
No,
don't have
I didn't
consensus.
say most of the world had consensus. I said that you in our region in particular, to Niger, we need to have some sort of consensus. I didn't say everybody agrees on everything, but some sort of consensus on the global stage in order
Mm.
to counteract some of these, global issues or these global forces, right? That's all I'm saying. So like, we're trying to
See,
compare ourselves to Asia all the time, and we cannot have the same development path as them. We have to forge our own path because we have completely different circumstances.
I get what you mean, but the parts always have one essential element that every single one of them did have. You have to build yourself militarily, and you have to be prepared for whatever they throw at you. Sometimes they will come at you, sometimes they will not. They never came at North Korea again. They never came at Vietnam again. They didn't even come at China once, and China became so powerful. So if you prepare for the worst, then there's nothing they can do to you. It's just that we have not even prepared. We don't. Can you believe that Gaza has got more bunkers than many African countries today? That is ridiculous.
To
that's
Hamas,
Niger, it's
actually
not. We don't even think we have to prepare for anything because we're not viewing the game. We haven't even entered the game. We're still sitting and watching people play the game and not realizing that we should also be within the game. You see?
I'm already. I'm that
And
paranoid
and
already. I'm
whoever
saying
is, and the people that come from, like, which the Africans that are actually playing the game, if they are playing the game, they're more on an island than some of these other people that are also playing the game. Do you see what I'm saying?
what do you
yeah, no,
mean they are more on an
Okay,
island?
so let's say an African leader. Let's say we have an African leader or two that's trying to play the game, right? That's trying to really, um, really get out of this current situation. You have many more states, many more entities that you have to deal with that have formed no type of real consensus in order to play the game at that larger level, because the other groups that you're dealing with, different people have some level of consensus with the populations that may be around them, for example, like a European, for example, you know
Hmm. But the thing is, why is it that not even one of the 40 something black nations have said that they are going to be militaristic? The only one that comes close is Eritrea, but that Eritrea's power
To
comes at the
Niger, you know
expense
what
of
we need to do?
Ethiopia.
To Niger, what's more important before you can even get to the defense part? The food. We can't even feed soldiers. We can't even give soldiers the nutrition they need to fight, even before they,
How where did you base how did
get
you
a
base
single
that your
bullet.
analysis? Where did you base that? How did you come up with that analysis? Is it based on any historical evidence
What, that African nations
that
aren't
that food comes
that aren't
first?
that food comes first? Even Asia,
Yes.
every civilization has an agricultural boom before they have a technological boom. This is a fact.
Actually, no, that
Yes.
is not true at all. Not even
No, no,
close.
no. You're just looking at China as the sole example.
No,
China
it's
had
not only
help from
China.
someone
It's not
else.
only China. Neither did Singapore. Neither all the other nations. What it
You know
tells you
what
is that
China did? China essentially said, "Hey, we're just going to have to sacrifice our vast swaths of our population in order to reach this certain technological."
and which other
Um,
nation did that again? Which
they
other great power did that
prioritized.
again?
They
No,
pri-
no, no.
Chi-
Hold
Yo,
on. Which other
listen,
great
listen,
power did
listen
that
to
again?
Niger. China prioritized. Listen, China prioritized other things before even some of their own people, like being able to eat, being able to have
Yes.
food
Which
in their butt
other
bellies. They
nation did that
sacrifice.
again? Oh no, which other nation did similar again? You don't know of any other nation that did something similar?
I mean, you named them. Which one
The
has
Soviet Union.
in the current okay, in the current, I'm talking
So
about
the
in the
point I'm trying
modern
to
time.
make is that the point I'm trying to make is that we already have enough food to eat to the extent, even when we are not sanctioned, we are not doing anything, we are still starving, or
No,
we've still
to
got enough
Niger,
food.
our population is growing, right? Like I will agree that to some degree, maybe for certain parts of Africa, food, um, maybe food, just having self-sufficiency when it comes to food may be somewhat overblown, but we need to be able to create a surplus because our population is growing so quick. And if you're going to be able to feed your soldiers, and not even just feed your soldiers, give them the nutrition, give them
I
the
think
right
it's a
balanced
wrong
diet.
thinking. I think it's the wrong thinking.
To
You are
Niger, how
trying
is this
to
the wrong thinking?
let me explain why it's the wrong
To
thinking.
Niger, I'm not even. I haven't even gotten to how to pay them or how.
Let me get to
I'm just
why
talking
I
about
think
feeding
the
them right
very
now.
concept itself is a wrong thinking.
Why?
We
So,
are
so you think
putting.
we should sacrifice? So you, to Nigel, let me ask you a question. This is a real
You are
question,
not
right?
letting me make
Would
the
you be
point.
willing? Would you be willing? Let's say that okay, you're dictator of West Africa. Would you be willing to sacrifice half of us over the course of like a decade or two, in order to build up the military that you're talking about? Would you be willing to take that kind of pressure on?
Nobody sacrifice half of your population for that, but you can make your sacrifice for people to survive
I'm
more
just,
in the
I'm
future.
just throwing a
Because
figure out there.
okay, but you are trying to make it an extreme case. That's what you're trying to do because you don't want to you face the fact
No,
that
because I want to.
your
No, no, no,
analysis
no.
is
I'm
erroneous
not
because
saying
that's
that
not
that's
how
the
other
situ.
nations did it.
I'm not just. I'm not saying that's the situation. I'm just asking the question
But you're
because I want
saying
to understand.
what
Give
you
me
should be
1 second,
asking is that are
Tunaja.
you willing to make the
Tunaja,
sacrifice?
give me 1 second. I'm asking because I want to know what kind of mindset you're approaching this from.
Yeah, but you're saying half now. Why would you put half? That's just
I'm just.
extreme,
It's
isn't
just
it?
a hypothetical, Tunaja. I'm just
No,
throwing a
but
number out there.
if there was half, if other nations sacrifice half, that's a good hypothetical. But other nations didn't sacrifice half, but they sacrificed a significant number
Okay,
of their population
how much
to.
percent did China sacrifice?
I would say China sacrificed about 5% of its population,
Five
at
percent. You
least.
think that's all?
Yeah, because they lost almost 50 million people due to the
No,
famine.
but yeah, 50 million. But like, what is the base there? What base population are you getting that from?
I think they were over just only around 500 million or so, if I'm not mistaken, or more. So they were able to do that because of
And you said
the
50 million.
yes.
Okay, that's 10% already.
Yes. So they sacrificed up to that. And the reason why they were able to do that, do you know how many would have died right now if they were living like a poor nation? They would have lost far more than that by over time than what they have now. And they have a bright future ahead of them because of the advancement they've had. So when people say that the problem is that when you put food first, then you don't understand the concept of delayed gratification.
Okay, guys,
Sometimes you
just a
have
quick
to
one.
have difficulty to get to the good side of a life. Go ahead.
Tonight, just guys, it's late here in South Africa, man. I'd like to continue engaging, but hey, I have to go off. Take care, guys.
All right, man. Well done. Yeah. So flex. So the idea is that you don't necessarily put food first before your nation is strong, because if your nation gets stronger, they can protect the food source. They can have proper food security and they can have proper sovereignty to decide what is good for their people. That is what other nations that have succeeded did. Every single one of them. I don't know any of them that put food security first. Just name it. I don't know any nation that may put themselves in a strong position and said, you know what, we have to have surplus food first before we become strong. So that's how I would look at it. I think Flexed Up is not here right now. So I would just go on having my own kind of monologue before we close out. Because I believe that sometimes I just feel like chatting and talking and sharing my own opinions about things. There was this European guy that was talking about coming to war with Africa in the future, and that they have to prepare for that time on how to win that conflict. Uh, Africans don't need to necessarily act as if or behave as if we are about to fight everybody. I don't think there's a future in that anymore, except we have another planet that we can all sign on to and go and live in. There's no future in fighting wars against each other, but there's a future in defending your people against oppression. There's a future in defending your people against exploitation. There's a future in defending your people against being second class citizens all over the world. And there's a future in saying, you know what, we have to deserve to be prosperous. We too deserve to be treated fairly. And to do that, you need to engage your security services to strengthen themselves so that whatever you go and do in this world, you can be able to defend it. Some people will try to blackmail you because they are militarily stronger than you. You need to be able to look them in the eye and say, you know what, try me, try me. You find out that me that is suffering right now, you will lose more than I have. So that next time when you want to come and take me on, you'll have a lot of problems on your hand. I feel like that's how we have to approach it. We don't have to say we want to defeat, take over the world, kill everybody, and take revenge on people. It's just about saying, you know what, we deserve a shot. And if you don't like it, you want to kill us, fine. Come and take us on. If that is what it is worth to you. If it is worth you fighting us for decades, if it is worth you risking losing your position as the superpower of the world just because you want to take us down, go ahead. Let's tango. But we are not your enemies, by the way. But you are our enemies by deciding that we should never progress in this world. I think that is the kind of approach we have to take. Because I don't think there's any part of this world that will doubt that Africans have gone through hell. This is something the entire world knows. And if we are fighting to get out of that, I don't think that even based on opinions, there is any part of the world that will say, no, don't let them. Let them come on, let's kill them. Especially when we are not preaching war against anybody. We are preaching that we just need to be allowed to develop our own economies so that we can take care of our families, take care of our children, and progress like a normal people. And I think that approach will ensure that we are on the side of public opinion, and it's going to ensure that when we are marching forward to develop our security infrastructure that we completely let down completely, nobody is going to come and say you're about to develop a nuclear weapon, let's stop them. Nobody's going to come and say these people are about to invade America, let's stop them. Or they're about to attack Europe, let's stop them, they are terrorists. No, they're not going to have that excuse. All that is gone. The only excuse that they will have is that, oh, you people are developing and we don't like it. And guess what? Many of these Western nations, their own populations won't even support them. Because people know this is unfair. You can't
To Niger,
go
what are
on.
you talking about? What are you talking about to Niger?
I'm talking about the strategy that we can use to liberate ourselves and get our security apparatus in place. Because
To
you
Niger.
can you don't want to use a strategy of, oh, I want to kill you all. I want to take revenge on everybody. You have to say, we want to secure our environment. We don't want terrorists coming to our country to come and destabilize our nation. We don't want coups anymore. We want to form military alliances so that we can stabilize our own nation. So that when any nation is taken over by a coup, and then another nation can come and stop it. Because we all have a kind of pact that says attack on one is an attack on all. That
To
and
Niger.
I like what Burkina Faso, Mali, and Benin, which other nation is that?
Well,
Guinea.
I
They are
heard
doing
that
now.
guy
Niger.
want to plant
Niger.
cocoa. He wants
Yeah,
to plant cocoa
they
from
want to
Burkina
have they
Faso.
want to form a confederation now. They already have a defense pact. They want to form a confederation
Yeah,
as a nation.
you know that they're trying to do cocoa to Niger. They're trying to actually that Burkina Faso guy was talking about how a lot of this colonial education made you think, oh, we live in the Sahel, we live in like a desert or something. You can plant, but look now, we have fruits that bear. So I guess this fruit that's bearing in Burkina Faso and he was talking to
Yeah.
those kids. I heard a speech was doing about like planting cocoa that they can sell. I don't know if the Russians put that into his head, but yeah, definitely having more cash crops to help them generate a lot of that revenue so that they can see how self-dependent and strong they can be. My problem that I do have is where are they gonna get the import from? Do you think Guinea will be able to like help supply them? I mean, Nigeria, of course, wouldn't. But how will those three feathers,
Import
the
of
new
what? Import of what?
What is this guy
goods,
talking about?
how are they gonna get goods? Because you know that landlocked nations, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger.
No, they are going to get goods. The borders are already open now, so they get goods coming
From
and
which
go out.
side? From which side?
From
Wait,
all
wait.
African countries, from ECOWAS, the borders are open with ECOWAS nations now. You
No,
know
but you
they are
don't
part of
understand.
ECOWAS.
ECOWAS is allowing trade with those nations.
To, to Nigeria, you don't understand what he is saying. ECOWAS, these guys are not even in the position of doing business with ECOWAS because ECOWAS countries are sellout. I was watching a media
Are
in
you saying that
Togo.
the borders are closed?
No, no, not being close, but in the sense that they are being suspicious about what is coming in into their country. Because these, take for instance, Nigeria is still conniving with the West against these countries, Niger, other countries as well, Ghana as well. So the only main thing that I was watching a French media, a francophone, not French, but a francophone space where they were talking about making Guinea as part of them, so that Guinea will be a reliable source for their shipping and doing stuff,
I
and also
predicted
make
that. Yeah.
Guinea join the union, so
Yeah,
that
yeah.
they will
Is
have
Judah? Wait,
access.
Judah. I want to ask you this: is Guinea also cool? Guinea is also a cool country, right? It also has a
Huh?
coup, right? Guinea.
Yeah,
It
Guinea.
also
Yeah,
has like.
Guinea had
Oh, okay.
Guinea had a coup Dumbuya. The guy in power now they
Okay.
call Dumbuya. He was the one that took over from Alpha Conde. So they are also, because he when take for instance, when the borders, when West ECOWAS shut down the borders with these African countries, Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, Guinea was the one that opened their seaways for this country. So they are also trying to make sure that Dumbuya also join that union and form a strong union.
Yeah,
Now they are in the process of even forming one currency as well, kicking out the French CFA, and that's a good thing, because most
I think
English
it's
countries
gonna
have
take
been saying,
long. I think they want to use the euro. I know the Niger was willing to sell uranium for euro. I think they should stick on that before creating a new currency, just because of the complication it may start. Because euro is actually very liquid. A lot of people don't know how liquid it is. It's very similar liquid with meaning people are willing to sell
yeah,
you things
yeah,
for the
but if
euro.
you have a resources that people are buying, right, you create your own resources. I mean, yeah, euro is there, but if people want to buy your own resources, they have to trade in your own currency. And that is the one thing that I've seen, what this guy, the guy in
But how are they gonna buy
uh,
things? No, no, no. I hear working locally using their own currency. My question is, what can they need a currency to buy things internationally? What currency are they gonna use? They can't use CFA because China is not gonna accept CFA to give
That's
its
why I say they are
wire.
creating their own. The three countries are coming in,
Yes,
including
but
Guinea might come
China
in.
won't accept those currencies as
How do you know
payment.
China? Even Gambia is trading with China. How come Gambia has their own currency and they are trading? You cannot say China.
No,
You are not
no, no,
China.
no, 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 no. You're not
I
understanding what
mean,
I'm saying. No, no, Kaiser makes a topic a lot about this. Then remember, currencies, right? Let's say South African rands. South African rands can only buy things in South Africa. So if me as a South African, I wanted to buy, let's say, a car from China, what's gonna happen digitally in the net is that my South African rand is gonna be taken by my bank, and then it's gonna exchange it for dollars that bank has, and then gives it to the Chinese. The Chinese, I'm told this is all digital, by the way, is gonna take those digital dollars and then exchange them for yuan, and then those yuan are used to buy the product. I want you to
no,
understand that
no,
the dollar
no,
is the middle
no.
part there. The question now in let's address Mali. If Mali, for example, and Niger wanted to buy something, they are gonna need a currency that the Chinese is willing to accept. The Chinese will not accept a currency they know they cannot exchange. The reason they take the dollar, remember, is because they know they can exchange the dollar in future for something they want. So let's just say I'm Chinese, I have the dollar with me right now. I can go to Fuji, Japan, and say that yes, the dollar give me water. If I take the Mali currency and I exchange it for my goods, where else am I gonna? What am I gonna buy the Mali with? Because no one else is willing to take Mali currency. You know,
Yeah,
that's the dilemma to that.
I understand your point, but I mean, so I mean, it makes no sense because, I mean, yeah, you don't only have to trade with China to change your currency into dollar form for them to accept. Like, so you telling me that all the countries in the world, including
Yes,
Venezuela, all these other countries, for
yes,
Venezuela to trade with China, they have to change their currency into dollars to trade
yes,
with China? No, no, man.
yes,
That
Judah.
no.
I know it's
I mean,
fucked
yeah,
up, but
of
it's
course,
yes.
because you can say the dollar is reliable, right? It's an exchange that is reliable, so that in terms of fluctuation, it's still
No, no,
stable
not just
as
that. No,
compared
no,
to
not
other
just that.
African
Not just that.
currencies.
Remember, Judah, Remember, the point of having a currency is that you can exchange it for real life assets. So you hold a currency in hopes that you can buy. It can give you the ability to buy something. The reason the dollar is so
Musanda,
rampant is because it's
Musanda.
So
rampant. It's because it's
if China
Hold,
wants
hold,
to
liquid.
buy from
hold
African,
on, hold
if
on,
Chi-
hold on, hold on,
no,
Judy. I
let me
just want
just
to
ask
say
you a
something
question,
quickly.
Nigeria.
Don't worry, you
If
go on.
China,
I'm not having this conversation. I just want to ask him something. Judy, are you subscribed to my channel? And
come on,
Musanda, are you subscribed to my channel? No, I think Judy is subscribed, but I'm not sure Musanda
No,
is.
no, no. I haven't
Why are
put it
you
on the
not
back.
subscribed to my channel?
to Nigeria, China
Maybe I
is only
have. I
for
forgot.
Nigerians. What the heck are you talking about? I came
Oh,
on your
can you
panel
let me
one
talk,
time,
Judy? Can you
you
let me
know.
talk?
Okay, go
Eh?
ahead. It's only
Yeah, yeah. Stop trolling. You are subscriber. Yeah, yeah. Trying to block other
yeah,
people
but it's
from
only for
subscribing.
This
Nigerians.
is
You
this
see,
is
this
the
kind of talk that
dilemma.
we are talking here, we cannot talk on your panel.
Yes, we do actually. Come on.
This is the
Yeah,
See,
you
problem.
do, but
This
it's
is
only
why.
Nigerians that talk. That's my point.
hold on, Jude. I think you're confusing Dr. Damage's channel with my channel. I think
No,
you
come on,
need
to
to.
Nigeria. What the hell you talking? Go
When
ahead.
I'm streaming for my channel, it's mostly international stuff. If I'm streaming for Dr. Damages, it's from you tend to get mixed stuff. And my channel also hosts Kezo's videos too. So it's not only one type of video that is on my channel. Whenever I'm talking, you see me talking too much Nigerian. I talk mostly international stuff. So,
To
but
Nigeria.
so back to the point, Musanda, um, you are not subscribed. Why not? All these South African haters.
Sorry,
To
Why are
Nigeria.
you not subscribed to my channel?
I don't know your channel, man. Let's go back to the topic. You write it on the chat. I'll subscribe. No, no, no. What are we saying, Judah? You said something. What was it?
I
No,
was
no.
asking you
It's not
that
about
if
the wait.
China
Yeah, I
wants to
remember. I remember.
I was
I
asking you that
remember what I
if
wanted to
China
say.
wants to buy stuff from Africa, so do they go ahead and change their currency into United States dollar?
They already have a dollars. They have $2.5 trillion stored. They have a lot of dollars. Remember, their number one trade partner was the U.S. So when the U.S. was buying something, they were printing dollars and giving to the Chinese, and Chinese were giving them actual materials. They traded with them so much that right now they have $2.5 trillion. That $2.5 trillion is what is funding BRICS, or at least BRICS. So this is what happens. South Africa, when we get a loan from BRICS to build something, the Chinese, okay, it's not a Chinese bank, but the new development bank, the BRICS bank, what happens is that they give their South African people dollars, those dollars that the Chinese stole, some piece of it, a piece of that dollar. And then in repayment, South Africa doesn't have to pay back in dollars to the Chinese, they can pay back in rands. But obviously, that is bad for the Chinese because the rand is always depreciating relative to the dollar. So the Chinese are intentionally making a loss on the hopes of getting more partnerships, or at least maybe ownership on debt, or at least being able to manipulate debt, right? You see the same thing happening in Zambia, right? There was a debt restructuring Zambia wanted to do. They actually oh shit, guys, I guess my network is fucked up.
Oh man, your network is crazy. But this is the thing, right? Yeah. To Nigeria, you were talking about a lot of different things. How someone, a white guy, was talking about, invading Africa or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um. Look. Look, man. When you make yourself weak, When you make yourself or what is it? When you make yourself insect, other animals will feed on you, right? That's the same thing Africa has done. We have portrayed ourselves as the weaker guy. So people are taking advantage of us. Once we start building a security or an economic barrier, and then people will start respecting us. When we start being independable, people will start respecting us. We don't even have to tell them. They will just know that, oh man, these people they have it. That's why Russia is not coming out to sell themselves out to people. No, people already know what Russia has. Now we are Africa, we don't have that. So I mean, you begging, oh, they shouldn't do. Come on, man! It makes you more weaker and weaker and weaker. What are we doing? We are basically doing nothing. I was watching the news in Nigeria where almost 20 people got bombed in a day by their own people.
80, it's
I
about
mean,
80 something people.
200 people. That
80
you say what?
something. From what I got, about 80 something people got bombed.
That's crazy. How can you be bombing your own people? Even if these people are a terrorist group, you form intelligence in America.
I think
America
it
will
was
not go
by
anywhere
accident.
to bomb. Yeah, how can it be accident? That is a problem. That is to
Yeah,
tell you
it's a
there's a
problem, and that's
problem
what they are trying
in
to fix.
Africa.
That's what they are trying to fix.
Oh,
But
come on,
no,
come
I
on.
think it's the problem they are trying to fix. From what I gather, even Israel, they killed more than 80 of their citizens in this last this thing, because where they were trying to go after Hamas to kill their own citizens. I think
Yeah,
this kind of errors happen
Israel is
sometimes.
at war. Israel is at war with Palestine, but in a country
We are
where
war with terrorists too.
you cannot be at war with terrorists in your own country. You
Why
cannot.
not?
I mean, it's like saying America is at war with a terrorist group in their own country. No, you are only at war with a country or a foreign country. I mean, come on, these are your citizens. You have to.
America. Have you heard about David Koresh? Have you heard about David Koresh? Or the terrorists, any kind of terrorist organization that is in America, they don't
Yeah,
hold back.
but America is not gonna use bomb to bomb on these people. You form intelligence and
They
calm them
literally
out.
use bomb on the Tulsa massacre. They use bomb to destroy the black town. What are you
So
talking
that's why
about?
your own people. That's why your own people are
No,
using bomb
I'm
on.
not. I'm not excusing it, but I'm just trying to
Okay.
explain that maybe, and clearly the way the Nigerian military is behaving, they knew too that they messed up on this one. And the reason why they are doing all this is because they don't have the manpower. They are just
True,
using their
Niger.
toys, and they don't have good intelligence, and they just go and start bombing places. So they are regretting it, and they went there. The chief of army and the defense minister was there, and for what I got, the president is also going. So they know what they've done is bad, and Nigerians are not going to have it. And they know they need more manpower to solve all this security problem, but
So
they don't want to
Nigeria,
go and do what they need to do.
did you say Nigerians are not gonna have it?
No, no, no. Before long, they're not going to have
When
it.
have they? When have they ever have it?
Let me tell you the difference now. You see, what you don't understand is the dynamics in Nigeria. You see, this is the northern part of Nigeria. This is happening, and from what I gather, it's happened a few times already. And if Tinubu is in office, first he pissed them off with this Niger idea to go and invade Niger, and now he's bombing them. They'll be like, when Buhari was in this thing, they were not bombing so many innocent people. And if it becomes like that he is not taking care for their lives, that's a dangerous place for a president to be in. So you can see why they are moving very quickly to go and calm this thing down, because the North will not have it, where they feel like other people are just bombing them like that, and they make up the majority in the military. So, so I don't think it's going to go very fast. Sooner or later, they are going to have to change tactics. I think it will improve. If this happens again, oh my God, even the entire Nigeria will lose it on the presidency. So it's not going to happen again. I feel like the thing they need to do to solve this problem is to just recruit. They are recruiting the police from what I gather, but I'm not sure yet if it is true what they are talking about, that the 300 something thousand application has been moved forward in the police out of 500 something thousand. So I don't know what they do with that 300,000, whether they are going to just put them in the police and start training them, or they're going to whittle them down to 2,000, 20,000 or something. I don't know. So, but if 300,000 is moving forward, it tells you that they are going to realize that they are undermanned. As a matter of fact, they know, they said it, that they know that the criminals know that they are undermanned. That's why the criminals are doing what they are doing.
So
So,
Niger, When I
Mm-hmm.
saw the news, it say over 185 people and 66 injured, and some of them have even died. So it's over 200 people. It's not only 85.
Maybe that's the total. I told you that this stuff has happened before, but I don't think it's
Yeah,
from this one incident.
but let me not bring it into a Nigerian matter, because as a Cameroonian, the way I see Nigeria today, I'll tell you Nigeria is a complete failed state. There's nothing, I mean, anyone can tell me about, and Cameroon is feeling that impact of it, and that is my greatest fear in the nearest future, because a lot of people are being displaced. Nigeria is one of the country that have IDPs, internally displaced people, over 1 million displaced people in Nigeria, in their own country. So I mean, not to think of the people that are crossing borders into other countries as well. So it's making things difficult for the for the region as a whole. That's why things are not thriving. People are not thriving. There's risks in Africa, especially when it comes to business and stuff, insecurity and stuff. Insecurity is at its peak in such a way where, take for instance, if people were doing business in Kaduna with all this sudden bombing, you know how many lives people you say is just, I mean, people are talking about it's just ADP, it's just 100. What about the businesses? What about things that have been, oh man, then it tells me how the mentality of Africa, how are we gonna grow? Are we gonna move from this stage to this stage? It's just, I mean, we are cursed to Niger. Africa is
Mm.
cursed. I'm not gonna lie you. So there's never a good thing that will come out of this country. Believe me or not. I wish we should abandon this thing and all seek refuge in Europe. You know, and that is
You know what? You know, you always say these things. It doesn't matter in the end. The truth is that the people that want to get themselves out of where they are in, when they get the opportunity, they will. And we have not been pushed yet. We think we have been, but we have not been pushed in a way that will unite us and make us want to deal with these problems that we are facing. And when that time comes, we will. I believe so. We are not we are not different from other people. They went through hell. Most of this world, they went through hell in the last century. All these people that we see that they're enjoying today, they literally went through hell. The wars that they had to fight, the deaths, the kind of weapons that they had to endure. If we had gone through that, maybe we'll be stronger today as a people.
to
So we
Niger.
have.
You say if it could still be that if we have went through that, we will have not been stronger. But this is the thing, right? The years that the Europeans went to war, compare that to the time now. I will tell you that there are a lot of intelligence nowadays. Many people have become more inquisitive than what it was before. And that's to tell you, and then come to think of it, this is a century where everybody is inquisitive. There's mass media, there's social space, there's all of these things. I mean, come on, our IQ will have been improved with the way things are right now in this century as compared to the time back then, right? But I mean, come on, you don't have to go through war. There are countries in the Gulf of Arabia, Qatar, Dubai, all the United Arab, all these countries within the space of 10 years, 20 years, they have improvised and come up with strategies, that works for them and stuff like that. And now,
And you
I
notice
mean,
what used to happen in that region. You know how many
huh?
times America has come there to throw its weight around. And
Uh,
but America doesn't come and throw its weight around within the black African countries. That's the problem. We
oh
tend
no, no,
to they
no,
tend to
no,
operate in the background.
America has not thrown their weight around in Qatar. This is the thing. You should not
No, no,
be.
I mean
You should
in the
not be.
Middle East. I meant in the
Yeah,
Middle
yeah. In some
East.
of the Middle East, maybe Saudi Arabia, that maybe they rely more on oil. But when you talk of
America has
countries that
invaded Iraq, invaded, attacked Syria, so
yeah,
many wars in that region.
I'm not even talking about the wars. I'm talking about the success stories. So countries that have
No,
come overnight.
because what I'm trying to get you to understand is that when you are engaged in first world encounter at extreme levels, you are more likely to ascend. You are more likely to become more and more advanced to that level that they are, because that's how human beings behave. If you go in a classroom where there are intelligent people, you are likely to be uplifted than become dumber in that classroom. So that's what happens when. And if you look at this in the Middle Eastern country, they tend to be more advanced than African countries now. And it's always been like that historically. So
Exactly. That's why when Kaizo started this stream, he said Africans fleeing their homeland to Europe and America, and
They
I
are
think
fleeing,
that
yeah,
was
exactly. They are fleeing it because they don't know what they have. That's the
I
truth. They
think that
don't know
was
what they have. We act like it's spoiled people, and which technically we have been spoiled because all we have is suffering, famine, and food, bad government, and all the rest. That's the totality of our suffering. We don't know what it's like to be invaded and completely destroyed as the people. We don't know what it's like. We've not been invaded like the way Germany invaded Poland and Russia and all or
but
Vietnam
but
or
but
North
but
Korea. Nothing.
that would have been a good thing because you have not been invaded, so you have an actually peaceful home to develop. You
No, but,
know,
but what he meant was that we didn't develop the essentials. We didn't. We felt we even feel like we don't have enemies. That is the thing, and we are suffering and everything. We can't convince our people that we have enemies sometimes. So it makes us docile. That's basically what it is, and it makes us more innocent. Maybe that's why the world often consider black people cool and easygoing. They can come and make a documentary in our country, do whatever they like with our countries. Because we are docile. That's
to
what we are.
Niger, the guy that
Mhm.
made that video, the white guy that you were talking about, how he said he want to attack Africa, right?
Mhm.
What is wrong with it? There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, people have the right to their own opinion. What
No, I
they
don't see
have to.
anything wrong with it. I'm not saying he is wrong for saying it. I'm saying we have to prepare. And
Right.
you can't have people
I mean,
deciding that they want to attack us, and we just sit there and say, you know what, it's
Judy,
all
Judy
good.
and Tunaja, Judy and Tunaja. Hello,
Hey, man of prestige.
how y'all doing? How you
uh,
doing? How you doing, my brother
Yeah.
from Cameroon?
I'm doing great, sir. How you doing, man of
Good.
prestige?
I just want to intervene. I was listening. I'm not going to be here for a while. I just want to make a commentary about Tunaja.
Mm.
Tunaja, I always like your commentary, but I get so annoyed when you have all these Nigerians come here. And the kind of statement he just made is what made me come in. Because what the Almighty Judy just said is perfectly 100% right about the Africa, particularly when it comes to Nigeria. I mean, the dissemination of Nigeria, what it's going to mean to Africa. Everything he said is correct. There's nothing to equivocate about what he said. And you took it
Exactly.
casual, like always give excuse. Yeah, you just spoke like he, he vividly spoke like part of the Nigerians, always make excuse for the first state of Nigeria. We are falling. So some of you just come here, they have about this, how about this. America it took them 100, 200 years. I don't know why you all do that. Nigeria will never go anywhere. I'm a Nigerian. I'm proud of being a Nigerian, but we are failing. So sometimes you need to call a spade and stop equivocating on things. It doesn't make any sense. I,
See,
I don't
I'm
know
not.
what's wrong with all of a
I
lot of
wasn't trying
Nigerians.
to explain it away. I
Do
was
you know?
trying to explain it for
Do you
what
know
it
where
truly
I'm right
is.
now? Nigeria. Do you
Mhm.
know where I'm right now? I'm not going to tell you where I'm. I'm not in the United States, but I'm not going to tell you. Nigeria is everything in Nigeria right now is terrible. It's terrible in
Mm.
Nigeria, where I'm calling from right now. It is bad than what I thought it was. I mean, we are completely in a chaos. I mean, when I was in Nigeria last year, things has gone up 500%. In the two Nigeria, I'm telling you, my brother, I'm not just talking. The Niger bridge, they said they constructed this infrastructure. Nothing has happened. Nothing. It's not just east. It's not just south or wherever. I'm not there yet. I'm in the middle of the country. Lagos. Nothing is working. Nothing. People are suffering.
You are saying all those things. If you are saying all those things and I wasn't engaged in Nigeria, I would just believe you hands down. I'm working with Nigerians every single day, now, even today. So when you are saying those things, some of the stuff you're experiencing, yes, but are you telling me that is a case of a total war? No. When I say our situation is not the same as what other people have gone through, I stand by it. The
Okay. Are you
sacrifices
telling me
other people have
because
made in their countries
hold
and
on,
fought for their
Tunaja.
nations,
You
yes,
talk about.
we have not even made any sacrifice compared to what they have done. And we
So
are
are you
here
saying we're going
bouncing
to
our
suffer
countries.
before we came out of this suffering we are right now, or we have to go to war? It's
What do
not
you
about
think?
God.
What do you think it would take? Do you think this is a cakewalk? This world, anything, anybody gives you anything for free?
We
Our
need
birthright.
we
You
need
see,
a complete.
let me tell you this.
Nigeria need
See,
to change their mentality. We need reorientation. People need to wake up and do what is right. I'm not talking about revolution. When people talk about revolution, going to war, that's not what I mean. You need to
mhm.
stand Nigeria too docile. the
But why do you think
Nigerians
they
in
won't?
Nigeria.
Why do you think no matter how much you wish it, they won't? Why? It's because of the things I'm talking about. That's why you need to listen to what I'm saying. That the way people respond intellectually, and even when they know the truth, the way they respond that way and the way they respond as a society is very different. You have to make your peace with that and study how they respond societally as a group. Because I've seen people that I talk to intellectually, they will tell you that they know what our problem is, but they too will go and do exactly what creates that problem. Why?
To Niger, I wanted to ask you a question before Man of Prestige come. I want to ask you, right? When they say African countries are a young nation, when they talk of young, what does that mean? Are they taken from the year they gained independence, or it means that Africa did not exist before the Europeans came to Africa? Can you please explain? I just want to know. Or
Repeat that again, please.
does that
Repeat that
mean
again,
that
please. I missed
when before
something.
the Europeans came, we were primitive? Or I mean, because I believe that the world started all the same time. Go ahead. I mean, yeah. Let me hear your point.
We were not primitive when the Europeans came. We were quite advanced. There were, you see, in history, one side becomes more advanced, the other side becomes less advanced. It's like yo-yo. It goes like that, round and round. When even Rome was invading the UK, taking them as prisoners and all, many African countries were free. Rome was not even able to defeat a Kushite queen that held Rome to a
No,
standstill. Took him.
I know, but my question is, why do we say that we Africans are we a young nation? We have been there just 60 years. So does that mean that the years that we gain
I didn't
independence
say
is
that.
around the time
I
that
didn't say that. I never said that. I
I
don't
know,
know
but
who says that.
I've always heard people say, "Oh, America has been there for over 300 and something
That is a
years.
stupid.
Europe has been there
That to
for,
me. See, see,
you
see,
know."
see,
I mean, when
you
it comes
see.
to development, people always want to use that to say, "Oh, we are not developed because
You are
we have
talking to
only
me
been
now.
60 years."
You are
Go ahead.
talking to me. You are not talking to those people. I don't subscribe
Oh,
to that
okay, but
nonsense.
you have also heard that too, right?
Of course, I've heard that now. But you
Okay.
see, when you want to dismiss something, you just give them examples like Singapore. Singapore was created and immediately they took off. There are many nations that just were founded, and some of them were just founded just after the Second World War. So, boom, they took off and became successful. So, no, there's no excuse for all this type of talk. With South Korea came out from a war when they divided, and you had South Korea and North Korea. South Korea became and started becoming advanced immediately. This is a country that was
Exactly.
almost destroyed. North Korea was almost destroyed, and they are far more advanced than almost every African country right now, technologically. And South Africa
Exactly.
puts space satellite, puts satellite in space. South Africa has not. North Korea has. So this is what it should tell you. New nations is not an excuse. This is what I mean by deductive reasoning. If you are saying it's new nation, then how did other people do it? Then it means if it's because of the newness, that is not the reason why we are not progressing.
I was
Something else is
talking
holding us
to.
back.
Let me
I
say
was talking.
something. But you,
Okay,
Naja,
go ahead, man. Appreciate.
you make it sound like because of our newness, we are very young. I mean, unless I got you wrong, okay? If I got you wrong, you let me know. I mean, because of the way you narrate your stuff, maybe we haven't been through a lot. We like people will perceive it like you're talking about our newness. That's why we haven't progressed enough. But
Exactly.
Oh no, no, no,
that's
no, no. It's not about newness, it's about our experience. And this our experience is a deadly one to an extent. It's almost like when somebody is boiling a frog in a pot, they don't boil it one at once so that it wake up to a situation. We are just being boiled slowly. They are not letting us know. And our situation is more precarious now than it was when the Europeans arrived to colonize the continent. Think about it. When they came to Nigeria the first time, and if Nigeria was united, like southwest, southwest, everywhere was united, the British would not have been able to colonize Nigeria. They didn't have enough power. They didn't have enough manpower to defeat all that people. But now they can. Why? Because the equation has changed even in their favor, further in their favor, and we've not done anything to redress that balance. And this for me, that clock is the one I watch. The clock of the power
Naja,
dynamics between two
have you
sides.
ever thought maybe you use Nigeria as an example, and you know the purpose of the imperialism in Nigeria, the reason why they amalgamated all those three, I mean all those Nigeria together. Maybe now we are not meant to be together as a one country. They should have divided us into three or four, but because of the economical decolonization, that for what they're going to benefit. That's why they put us together. And look at the result right now. I mean, I'm glad to be in Nigeria. I'm not going to dispute that part, but I'm just talking about from originality wise. Probably wasn't meant to be together, but they knew
What
that.
what what you are experiencing is the symptoms of what where we are right now. Why did they put us together? They didn't put us together. We are still going to be here. You know why? Because when you look at other countries that are more homogeneous, as a matter of some of the most homogeneous countries in the world, in Africa, they still fought anyway. So that's what I mean again, deductive reasoning. So it
Okay.
means even when you are united, you are common people, you still fight. It means something else is making us, putting us where we are. Something is
Okay,
missing.
okay. Haven't we said that too, Niger? We people in Nigeria when they migrate to a different country, to a different country, they tend to excel. I mean, in all aspect. Let me use Nigeria as an
Yes.
example. I mean, that may be typical
Mm,
of Africa. I mean, they tend to excel. You see their greatest potential. But let me tell you what I'm so afraid. Even before I left there, what I had that when that's going on in British right now. You heard about the restriction. What's going to be happening about how British change their immigration status. Remember
mm,
when British got their own independence when they separated from the European Union. Most of the European people, I don't know if they send them away or whatever. I don't know what's happening. They're not as much as they used to be. I'm afraid eventually some of these people is going to pass a law like the black guy that was speaking. I mean, he's a British, but I think they say his parents is from Africa somewhere. I don't know, Zimbabwe or whatever. But one day you're going to wake up to Niger, regardless if you're a citizen, but you're not born there. They may pass another law. They can do it and say all of you leave. Have you ever thought about that? So it's
oh
about time.
yeah, they
It's
can pass a
about
law
time
to kick
Africa,
everybody out.
even me
Mm,
here that in America that we're citizens. Believe me, if Trump come on, because he has been saying it, he's saying when he come here, he's gonna propose an immigration to the extent, it's not even gonna be whether you're a citizen or not. So it's time the Africa start looking after their interests because these people, whether you're a citizen, you're not a citizen by birth. So you don't have a right like they do. Let's be
mm.
realistic.
Let me bust one out bubble that will also add to what you just said that you don't have a right as much as they did. Remember that statement because when I say what I'm going to say, instinctively you are going to want to kick against it. You remember what you said. We don't have as much rights as they do. When you said Nigerians go abroad and excel, and many African countries, people go abroad and excel, we only excel as serving. We don't excel as owning and really being controlling anything strategic. It's not so different from being a better slave, really. And this is something that we've been lured to a false sense of a kind of comfort. Like we can compete. We are really really doing it. We can challenge them. The only thing to tell you is that we are a kind of just as intelligent as they are. We can be just as intelligent to an extent, but all our the excel that we talk about is just to serve. That's what we excel at. We look at our top, our best people that we have in the West. Tell me, you will find that they are all service. They are serving other entities. So we don't control anything
To
from
Niger,
Africa to the West. We barely control anything.
to Naja, I would say that we're similar to the Indians in that if you look at the Indian success in the West, it's mostly in quote unquote servitude roles. The only difference between India and Nigeria is that the Indian state is also playing a hand in Indian success in the West, right? So the Indian state, they get their prime minister in. They're getting the Indian state is fighting. We want one of our own to be the CEO of Microsoft. So I feel like the Indians and the Nigerians are very similar. They're both successful in that way. The only difference is the Indian state is also fighting for their citizens in the West, while the
Indians do
Nigerians
control some things, do they do own industries. Like the guy that discovered graphene, he was an Indian. And if you check some of the companies in the Silicon Valley, they are owned by Indians. Actually, they do own like
Wait, that's
billions
different though
of.
to Niger. Those Indians are actually really Americans, right? Or British. So they're actually supported by the British government. They're not Indians from India. That's
No, no,
the
no. My
difference.
point is that Nigerians are not like that. That's my point. They are serving.
A
I
But
think
while
Ghanaian
Indians own
man
things,
helped to Niger. Why do you always hate on the black people? I've noticed this. You never want to give credit or anything
you come with your
positive a
nonsense
black
now.
person does.
Go ahead. Say what you want to say, please. With your loss
A
and I'm
Ghanaian
coming
man
to you.
helped improve a lot of photonics, right? In guess what? Creating fiber optics.
Does it own it?
Doesn't on the whole technology, but he actually helped increase it.
Or you mean
That's a
But
real thing.
wait,
starving it?
Kaiser, where did this happen? This happened in Europe, right? It did not happen in Africa.
Yes,
Now, this is the thing. They have created a safe haven. They have made things easy for you to try. Africans have not done that. That is one thing. Insecurity problem. We have our own things that we are thinking about in Africa: food, hunger, poverty. These are the things that we think in Africa. Europeans in America, you are not thinking about hunger. That's why you're
I know,
thinking
I
is
know.
going to something
I know,
else.
but
You know.
look at this. Look at this. I get what you're saying, but look at this. And to Niger, they don't know this. Yeah, to Niger thinks every black person has no brain. Okay, Thomas Mensah. Eh? Thomas O. Mensah, born 1950, is a Ghanaian American chemical engineer, an inventor, contributed development of fiber optics manufacturing and nanotechnology. He has over 14 patents and was inducted into. I don't care about the other stuff. Invent right. This guy was over here was literally the guy who literally invented the modern fiber optic cable for internet usage. Right over here. Now he actually does have a lot of patents, 14 of them. So as black people, we are doing things. The difference is our government is not supporting us the way it should. But to Nigeria, do not lose hope. You must have a better hope to Nigeria. How come me, the biggest hater on African people, is believing in us more better than you?
Guys, you are not the guys who stop. There's no hope in
Hold
Africa,
on,
man.
Kaiser.
Africa is
Kaiser, let
first.
me make
What
a
the hell are
comment
you
about
talking
that.
about, bro?
What Kaiser just said. Okay, I mean, Kaiser, what you just said about this person you just brought up. Okay, that's good. As a Ghanaian, what he does. What has he contributed to his country? And Nigeria has a lot that has contributed to the world in diaspora. A lot of them. Look at the Manda Airport in Nigeria. What has it done to Nigerian? I mean, there's a lot of Nigerian, expertise here. Google it. What have they contributed to Nigeria? Not even they don't even have an opinion about what's going on in Nigeria.
No, they don't have to
And
contribute, brother. What Africa is, like I said, there's insecure. See what happened in Nigeria with the bumping. If they go there and contribute, and out of a sudden, things like that happen, how will they? How
no,
they
no,
are
no.
no insurance to protect them.
I agree
You
with
know,
you. The government
there's a
has not
Cameroonian guy.
provided
Let me just make this
the
point. I
government
was
has
just
not
watching
provided
a
the enable environment. I agree with you.
Exactly. I was watching a video in Cameroon where one guy that constructed a five-star hotel in my hometown. Out of a sudden, someone went in there and was cooking one of these, and everything caught on fire, and there are no ambulance or no firefighters. The hotel that was one of the thriving hotel in my own town. Now everything is in crumble. You know, the guy is in America. Now all the investment is down. So I mean, come on, man. These are things that you don't want to invest in Africa because of risks. So I mean, I don't blame them for not going back and investing. Africa is not just safe at all, and we should make
No,
these
you
things
you
known
are.
to
I mean,
people.
I'm completely
You know.
agreeing with you. My rationality and your rationality pretty much align together. There's no different. I mean, they are not contributing. Everyone we said, just the enable environment is completely lacking. Nobody wants to come here and invest. I mean, the companies are living in Nigeria. Look at how many companies that have left Nigeria in recent years because of the environment is so hosted. You can profit. What I mean, why would I want to invest in Nigeria? I mean, I have a little hotel. We have a little hotel here, but it's not a hotel that I have in Nigeria for my own profit. It's just to help people in Nigeria, whatever kind of little profit we're getting from the ones that have worry, just to help people in Nigeria. It's not for my own good because I'm not making profit for myself. It's just to help people in Nigeria. That's my business I have in Nigeria. That's it. That is how terrible it is. So you tell me to come and invest in Nigeria? Forget about it. I mean, it's my country, but I can't come there and die. I just come there and visit and I'm out. I mean,
Yeah,
well, I would like to come. Unless what's going on right now. I'm telling you people what these people are
Oh, wait,
doing.
1 second. I think I missed a super chat which I didn't see. Shout out to this stream sponsor again. Another streamer, guys. Shout out to Ike Ogiamien for $50 saying Dusty Caesar. So Caesar, I guess you've been missed on the panel, brother. What happened? Did you start working more? Right? What happened? How come we haven't seen you out here fighting people, Caesar?
I'm working hard. I'm innovating. You already know what it
You're
is.
wanking hard. Okay, that's good.
He's working hard in the plantation. I'm hoping
Hey,
that
Caesar came to
Exactly,
bed.
Caesar.
hoping that
Caesar came to.
he pleases master. See, the point I was making was that the way we practice ours, like the guy that invented even the ChatGPT, if I'm not mistaken, one of them was Indian too. So some of the most innovative things that are going on in the world, the so-called high performing Africans, you don't see them there most of the time. And we are barely present, and we just I don't know why we bought into this idea that we are doing so well. We are not doing that well.
No, you are a hater. You are a hater,
I'm
Tanaja.
gonna push back on that.
Astaghfirullah, Bismillah, wallahi. You are a
Look at
hater.
I
this
completely
one.
disagree with you, Niger. We are doing well, but we are not transforming our idea back home. And the reason
The,
why the
we are not
enable
doing that
environment.
because
Look
we are
at
not
the
doing
Indians.
very well in the West.
Look
That's
at
the
the
part of the
Indians.
problem.
You can equal Indians to some of us here, but they are transforming their knowledge, their technology, their brain to their country, even at all their citizen here or wherever. Because of the enable environment is there. We don't have that in Africa, particularly in Nigeria. All we
Man of
practice.
prestige, man of
Wait a
prestige.
minute,
So,
wait a minute.
okay,
All
go
our
ahead.
leaders practice is that institutional corruption. That is what they practice. What?
See, so it's not only leadership. Let me explain something to you. See, if you are in the West and you start a restaurant business or you start a cleaning company or you start something that is a little bit on the middle road, like doing project management and all those things, they are not exactly the kind of stuff you transfer to your country and you expect to transform your country. If you're like running a tech company that is very advanced, doing advanced stuff, you own a chemical pharmaceutical company or institution in the West, you can see how you can transfer that knowledge to your country and found another branch there, and you can help your country develop. Those are the kind of things you see with most other entities in the West.
But
They own
Tunaja, you are missing the
institution. We
point.
don't
I'm not
own
even
those
talking
key
about me.
ones.
I'm a business person. I do some real estate. And we have some hotel management in Nigeria. But the point I'm talking about, the point you're talking about, transforming all those technology or whatever,
Yeah.
the Nigeria government won't support you. They don't have the enabling environment I'm talking about is no electricity. I mean, security to the highest level. I mean, all those things.
But they do
You can't.
support some. Proforce did exist. Innocent did exist. They do support
Okay,
some. The question is, we are not
innocent.
coming
Okay,
back
yeah,
in reasonable
innocent more to
numbers.
do is this. What is Nigerian government trying to help them? They don't. The people they don't even drive. They don't even drive local made car. This is what China does.
I agree
Maybe
with you.
other
Some of
Africa
them,
we start
some of
importing,
them do
but
help.
instead of
Some
they
of
go buy Mercedes, Jeep, or that. Come on now,
Wait,
no,
let
no,
me
I
jump.
agree with you. They don't get enough support yet. But if more
they
keeps
don't get
coming
any
back, the
support.
pressure will increase for them
Wait,
to support.
let me jump in. I hate to blame the government. I mean, we just have to make our own organizations because we can't blame the government all day. But when you compare Nigerians and Indians, the only difference is the government. Because, like, even with the whole AI stuff, if you look at all these companies, a lot of the top people in these AI companies are Nigerians. They're Yoruba, they're Igbo, they're Edo. Like, I'm serious. They're from
Why
Ghana.
do we keep
They're
saying
from
these
Sierra
things?
Leone. So it's like when people.
Did you see the board members of this? Did you see any African there? Not to make. There's no
Well,
black person
I
there.
don't know about the board members. When you talk about the top employees, there's a lot of
The top
Africans there.
employees, I didn't see any of them. All the ones that wanted to move with the CEO of ChatGPT, I didn't see any black person there even.
Well, I've seen a lot. I'm pretty sure that one of the top guys in software engineering is a Yoruba guy. I forget his exact title. But I
In
remember,
ChatGPT.
yes, OpenAI. Yeah, I remember seeing it. Like, damn.
Okay,
And
open
there's a
me.
lot of
Yeah,
Check.
Tanaja, you have this misconception that we suck at everything. We're actually great technicians. We just lack our business.
there's a
Oh,
lot
God.
of top. There's a
Kezu,
lot
can
of
you just stop
Africans.
with that? Try to
Look,
paint a new narrative
Tunaja,
about what I represent.
Tunaja, there's a lot of Africans in tech. The only difference is India has made it. India's telling all these American companies that look, we need an Indian here, or we're gonna make our own company. Basically, that's kind of what's going on here with a lot of these institutions. That's why you see so many Indian CEOs of basically most of the American companies. Right? That's the only difference. India is basically bullying these countries, these companies, and Nigeria is not doing that for us, which is okay. We can do our own things, but that's the
Can,
difference.
can somebody ask this thing, Kezu, to go to OpenAI about us page? Let's see whether you will see one black person there.
Oh, you will.
No, okay. So you want to
No,
look
you
at
won't.
OpenAI? Wait, hang on. OpenAI, you won't see black people because we don't have leverage. But in Google, new
Now you got
AI,
to
which is
Google.
actually better than ChatGPT. Hang on, Google's new AI, right, is actually better than ChatGPT for aka ChatGPT. You get that,
Gemini?
right? Yeah, that's better than ChatGPT. ChatGPT can't actually have more contextual reasoning as Gemini. So there is actually black people in that project tonight. So you can't be
What
going
are
around
they
here
now?
just
Show it to us now. Let's see them now. Let's see their position that they hold. This is the problem I'm trying to
the
describe here.
position. Now it's about the
I'm
position, right?
seeing, yeah,
They
of
have to
course,
be
that's
doggy
my
style.
point.
If it's
They
not
are,
doggy style,
they
it's no
are, they
good.
are, they are, they are serving. That's my point. That's the point I'm
You see
making.
what
We
I
are
mean,
just
right?
serving people. We are not
If it's
there
not doggy
creating and
style, I
owning
don't like it.
stuff. As a matter of
Two
fact,
Niger, two
there was
Niger.
one Nigerian that owned stuff and he died within how many days? They said he won this thing. American government gave him a contract because of the technology that he patented, and within how many days he lost his life. The
Nah,
Two
American,
Tanaja, this is
Nigeria.
bad.
To Nigeria, you are right. In major companies in America, you never see a black man in the front of these companies. When you see their position, it's always like some kind of a security guard or
Oh, come on.
wow,
or
I've seen one black
or
lady in the ChatGPT, this,
I'm not saying that
and she's
or
just holding
human
a
or
computer,
human
not
resource
anything.
or human resource management or stuff like that. HR. That's where black people are. You don't see them as managers. Come on, man. That's
what do you the head of design at Instagram used to I don't know if you guys know when Instagram had their big update a couple years ago. It was a black guy. I mean, there's a
oh
lot of
come on. They just put them
Well,
there
the
to
fact
bring
that
in
you have
black
to
I,
people. Come
remember,
on,
the
man.
fact
no
that you
no
have to
no
remember
that
one
that
obscure
there's a
kind of
lot
position
of
in
there's a
Instagram.
lot
that
of
is
Wow.
Come
talented
on.
that
black
is too
people in the
degrading.
and
black
and he,
You
and
are
he was
making a wrong
basically
comment. You
serving.
all
He
have
was
not
basically
seen
serving.
that
He
a
Come
lot
doesn't
of
on.
own
So
anything.
Nigerians here
social media is trying to
that
bring black
occupy.
people into their community. Are you kidding me? The black man has never done anything, bro. What the hell are
So
you talking
let's
about?
search for top black people in tech. Top
there's a lot of
black
talented you guys are funny.
black.
Also, you think the CEO is the one doing everything? They get their employees to do a lot. I'm just saying we have the knowledge. I'm not saying we're the board, the CEO
No, we
founder.
black people do not have the knowledge, says that. That's one thing that I'm going to disagree with you. We don't have the knowledge. Well, come on, man. Let's be frank, bro. The white man has the knowledge. I'm telling you for a fact, that's why they do a lot of things, man. If we have the knowledge, we'll have gone back home, do things for our own self, despite the fact that there are insecurity. We'll have been able to solve
Exactly.
these
Would have
problems.
been able to
But
do
we don't
that
have the
because you
knowledge to
can't
do things,
transfer it.
you
Some of the
know.
things I'm able to do in Nigeria right now is because of what I learned here. So you will see that skill set being transferred, but you don't see that
No,
happening
the
in
problem
Africa.
is it's one. You have people spread across the whole continent. It's two separate. Like one guy from Senegal, one from Nigeria,
It's
one from
supposed
South
to be a
Africa.
blessing, not it's not supposed to be a disadvantage to be spread out. It means you have a
No,
lot
I'm saying
more
so.
space to perform.
So a lot of those black people you see, they're typically integrating into white society. I will admit that, right? But I mean, they're still black. It's just they're integrating into white society. So
Exactly, and most of them are just there to serve. And even when like, you search for black people in tech, they are all just serving. They are not. They don't own. You don't see them like they own this industry, this company, and they are dominating their space like Google or Amazon or eBay,
well, the Indians
PayPal.
don't own it.
Nothing.
The Indians don't own it either. But they have the knowledge. I think the knowledge is probably the most
No,
important.
I'm talking about owning. They actually have the ones that own.
They're
That
American
actually own their
companies.
companies.
Indians don't own them either. They're
No, no,
American
no,
companies,
no.
man.
Even if the American companies, they control it in America. They own it. That's my point.
The
You don't even
Indians
see
don't
black
own
people
it.
doing that.
The Indians don't own it either. They
The
just
Indians don't own it, but they are
Yeah.
managers. Like the Indians are top manager. I create an app and give it to an Indian guy to manage
Oh no,
because
no, no.
the
You're missing my point. You're missing.
The
If that was
Indians
the
have
case,
an
then they are the same in
intelligence
Nigeria.
IQ. The Indians have an intelligence IQ higher than Africans, but or than normal black.
no,
No, no.
That's what. No,
That's
no.
a
I'm talking
fact.
about they own. They own. It's not just working.
But
They
two
also
Nigeria
own
is
it.
talking about owning, like creating something like Google. You
Yes.
own it, but Indians do not own. They manage.
This
That's
is
They do
another thing.
own.
happening.
Oh no, no,
That's
you're
different.
mistaken. They actually do own. They own tech companies in
okay.
Oh no,
Silicon
I
Valley,
mean, if they own,
and
yeah, but like
Oh, which
and they own
company,
large.
Tanaja?
They may not own the
they,
company
they,
outright. They own large shares in big companies.
what tech company are you talking about to Nigeria? The top
To board
biggest tech
member.
companies in the world, Facebook, Instagram, all this stuff. Indians do not own anything, man.
What are you talking about? Board members
Tanaja is just
of
a self-hating African man. I've now noticed something. It's kind of interesting. This
oh my
guy
god,
really
you're
is a
trying to turn the
self-hater.
table. You're trying to turn the
Everything that
table.
we
Look
talk
at
about
this bad
Africans, it
man.
becomes negative. Interesting,
The,
man.
the, the
Niger.
so-called the CEO, the face of the OpenAI, is he not Indian?
The
It has big
face, right? Does that mean?
Wait,
Hang on,
no,
hang on.
he's
No,
not.
no,
The
no. He
face.
probably
All
owns
Indians are
a
white
big
man.
share in there now.
Okay, let's find the IQ of Indians, right? Because you guys seem India's
I
IQ is
don't care about
77,
IQ.
bro.
I don't
Bro,
care
that's
about
exactly
IQ.
what we're talking about. The
I care
average
about what they
Indian is being
control.
paid less than the average Ghanaian or average Kenyan. So what are you talking
No,
about,
no,
mate?
no,
No.
Kaizo. Wait,
Judy,
What
that
are you
statement
talking
is
about,
false,
right?
right?
Look at it.
Judy,
Yeah.
hold on. Range Rover, Rolls-Royce, Bentley are currently owned by India as we speak.
Exactly.
Yeah, bro, it's not.
That's what I'm trying to
One
tell them, that
company,
these
one
people actually
company,
own things.
really.
Not
Range
one
Rover is not a
company.
technology company, man. That's a
Come
company
on.
that sells cars. They
Look at
bought the
Kaiser.
company
Kaiser
that
is
sells
pretending
cars.
as if he's
Wait,
the
hang
lover
on.
of
Did the
market for
Indians
that.
invent Range Rover to Niger? No. Indians
Fun.
bought that company.
No, but they
You
bought the
niggas is
company.
self-hating
They bought
Negroes
it.
We don't.
that don't.
They bought it with
Wait, when did Range Rover get bought by an Indian?
Yeah, it's owned by like Tata and those people, right? Isn't it?
So probably a couple years ago. Okay, whatever.
They own stuff. That's the point I'm saying. That's the big difference between them and us.
No, that's
Like,
come on. They own one car company. Give me a break.
it's
It's
only
a car
one.
company.
Oh my God! I
It's
keep
a
telling you,
company.
only
No, but
one.
listen. Tata bought Range Rover. They did not create it. Tata never made no high-rise car company. They just bought it. Tonight, what are you talking about, man? They just bought technologies. Indians can barely take a shit in a toilet, and you're out here
Oh,
trying
come
to say
on,
that Indians
Kaizo.
are
Are
better
you
than us.
looking at the Indians that are doing crazy thing in India, or are you talking about the intelligence one
I'm
that
talking
I've
about
made in
majority
America?
of
Come
Indians.
on, man.
Let me share my screen because
Majority of Indians here are doctors. Come on, bro. Kaizo, you cannot be making that perception, man. Come on.
Look at this, right? Let's see this because I hate to see Africans being undermined by Indians. Look at this. Indian villagers worshipping newly built toilets instead of using them. That's what Indians are doing. Look at that, man. They're putting up a shrine to be worshipping a freaking
Oh my
toilet.
God.
And you're out there
Stop
trying
with
to
that
say that this is
Kaizo, in
better than
America
African.
and India is more valuable than an African. That's a fact in America or in Europe. Even in
In India,
Eastern
if
Asian
Indians
countries.
worship the toilet, the average IQ of an Indian is no more than the average IQ of an African. You guys need to stop being cucked and believe in yourselves, right? Pan-Africanism.
Yeah, the only difference between India and Africa is India is a whole country and they're leveraging that. That's the only difference. India is not really better, bro. Come on, guys.
Okay, now, can you just search for the top tech CEOs around the world, and let's see how many black people show up there versus Indian that show up.
It's because
Niger, first of all, Niger, hang on. Wait, hang on.
A car
Niger is
manufacturing is not
Search
a tech company.
now. Maybe even top 40. You're not going to see one black person, but you're going to see Indians.
Fine.
there.
I'll do it, Niger. But listen, hang on. You're goal shifting and you're not very accurate, right? First, you
I'm
talk
not
about
goal
technicians,
shifting. I'm
right?
talking about
Hang on.
owning,
Wait, let
and
me
we don't
explain.
own.
Let me explain. Then you hang on. You can explain after I finish, right? You talked about technicians. There's not enough Africans in technical high levels and companies. A CEO is just a manager. Nothing interesting. I'm a CEO of 2 companies, right?
Oh,
Does that make
God.
me special? No. It's just
Top
management, bro.
tech companies.
Right? Okay, top tech companies. Okay. Let's
Yeah,
see,
that's what I
better,
mean.
Right? No,
That's
you
what
said
I
top
said.
CEOs in tech companies, right? That's very different.
Top tech
Now,
companies. They are the
yeah, that's
CEOs
better.
now.
No,
of
that's
the
a
top tech
better.
companies.
That's a better. Hang on. That's now a better search term. You did not say that initially. So let's go ahead. Let's see. World
They own
22 biggest
Infosys.
tech
Top
companies.
tech CEOs. Just type top tech CEOs.
No. I don't care about CEOs, man. A CEO is just a job title, nothing to do with ownership, man. So let's stop that. Let's go. Okay. So
No, I'm trying to be generous by
Apple.
even putting
Okay, that's
into,
a white man.
into job pay rules. We don't even occupy those spaces. You know, I'm even trying to be generous. This is not going to give you their faces.
Yeah,
Just type
that's
top
fine,
tech
that's
CEOs.
fine,
You will
that's
see
fine,
that
that's
you will see the
fine.
faces of the people.
Nigel, you asked me a question.
Google top.
What the hell is a top 10
CEOs.
CEO? What is a CEO relevant? Tonight, just talk like.
Because they are
Hang
the
on.
top of these tech
Tonight,
companies,
you don't
the
seem to
big
understand
ones.
what matters, right? No,
Okay.
Tonight, what's a CEO related to a company? 2 separate
Because
discussions.
this is not
A
giving you
CEO
anything.
is just a
You're just
manager
listing the name
of a
of the
company.
company. You're just listing the name of the company. I'm telling
Exactly
you,
right.
the point
So
I'm
you
making
can
is
find
that
out
we
which
don't own. That is established. We don't own. But even at the top positions that we claim we work and we excel at,
yes.
we are not
I
showing up
understand
there
your
too.
point, but hang on. We've got this list. We can go through. We can find out which country actually owns them. Apple's American.
Oh my
Alphabet is
God.
Google. It's American.
Why are
Microsoft
you
is
wasting our
American.
time?
Amazon
Why didn't you
American.
just search what I asked you
Samsung
to
it's
search?
Korean. I'm telling you that these niggas ain't Indian. That's the point. All right, America,
Can you just search what I
America,
asked you to search?
America, Korea. I don't know what this is. We can go Meta.
China.
Oh,
All
that's
this,
America.
all this is just waffle now. Just
Cisco.
search what I asked you to search.
No
You are
freaking
going to give
dusty ass
people the.
Indians
Don't you want to
anywhere here.
educate your viewers? They will see the truth of what I'm talking about. Just
Tunanja, I keep
search
telling
top
you,
text.
we already made the point that Indians
fine,
are good at
fine, go
management,
on.
Tunanja. They're not the owners of these companies. That's the point.
How
Having
do you
a
know this?
CEO,
Most
you don't seem to
CEOs,
understand
most
something.
CEOs have a share in their companies actually.
Yeah,
CEOs
small,
they are
very,
paid the
very
shares,
small,
you know.
irrelevant
Man,
share.
a small
Tunanja.
share. A small
Yeah,
share.
you
have-
don't seem to understand
Like
how business works.
Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk
Jeff
and all
Bezos
the others.
created the company. Hang on. Jeff Bezos is not a CEO. He is a creator and founder of the company. He happens to be a
Yes.
CEO. Two separate
And
things tonight.
say, hold on. That's what I'm
This guy is
saying.
insane.
You are not listening. Some of the tech CEOs go on to found. They were also the founders of the companies too, or they own a significant amount of
Indians
shares.
don't start
Okay,
companies.
Apple. We know it ain't no dusty ass foot Indian. We know who invented Apple. Alphabet, Google. We know it's not dusty ass foot Indian. Microsoft. We know it ain't no dusty ass foot Indian. Amazon.
Exactly.
We know it ain't no dusty foot Indian. Samsung. We know it ain't no dusty foot Indian. Tesla.
That's
All
why I
these.
was
I don't know.
telling you, Indians do not
You see how
own network.
this is what he's doing now. He's using the
No,
power
I
of
think.
his.
Oh, look. Let's
He's
find
using
out.
the
Right.
power
Listen.
of him running the channel not to
I know.
show you people the
Oh
information.
wow, it's Chinese.
That's an abuse of
You
power. Then
made
what
a
you are doing
point
there.
tonight. Hang on, tonight. You made a point that CEOs apparently own large shares of companies, which I told you is false, right? Jeff Bezos is not a CEO. He's a founder who happens to be holding the title of the job CEO. Two separate
Oh
things.
my
All these
God.
companies
Kaizo,
that
just
I'm
look
mentioning
up-
right now, none of these companies have
Man,
actual Indians.
I'm really
Kaizo,
having
you're
a low IQ
Kaizo, here's
conversation
the
right
thing.
now.
Kaizo, just look up the percentage that Sundar Pichai owns of Google. Let's look, because these people are CEOs. They don't
What
actually
is that
own the
noise
company.
now? Come on, mute somebody instead of
It's not
being
me.
this thing.
It's probably
noise
UFC.
coming through.
Yeah, it's UFC.
Can we just search
Is it
it
me?
so people can see the faces for themselves?
Niger, nobody gives a shit about a manager. Like, does your brain work? We just explained to you, Niger. A CEO is a job, okay? Description. Sometimes the same founder is also a CEO, like Jeff Bezos. Same thing with the Apple guy who they got rid of him and then put him back, right? Sometimes it works in tandem, meaning on top of each other. However, CEO has nothing to do with the company. It's a job title, job description, nothing else.
I know that.
Now I've shown you.
I agree
Now
with
hang
that.
on. Now these are the top companies in the world. None of these companies is Indians. I just showed you. Americans.
You are really
Korean,
abusing
Chinese.
your position there. This is an abuse of position there. That's what you're doing.
I mean, Kaizo, you might as well just show the
you are just
percentage.
abusing. Yeah,
It
you're
doesn't
just
matter.
abusing the opinion. Just search top tech CEOs, and the result will be out there. And we will see what the point I'm making is that the performance we say we are performing, even when you look at it based on just serving, we are not serving at the highest levels too.
To Niger, the only thing I'll say about your point is this:
Niger.
we are serving. It's just that India has a country, and I think that's the last thing you're not getting. They're leveraging the nation. You know, it's different. Nigeria is not India.
No,
I'm sorry.
It's not really different, right? This guy is talking about managers of companies instead of talking about founders of companies and shareholders of companies. Two separate things.
I'm
We don't
saying the
care
only
about
reason.
managers.
Well,
Go
I'm
ahead.
saying the only reason why there's so many Indian CEOs is because XYZ, right? India is making sure that happens. I don't think it's because Indians are special in some unique way, other than Pakistanis or
No. Caesar, stop that bullshit. CEO is the most irrelevant part of a job description. It's not relevant. The only thing that's relevant is the founder and the technicians.
That's
CEO
true.
is just
The
a manager.
CEO is
Highly
not
paid.
relevant. Wow.
It's not relevant at all.
Well, Kaizo, the
Of course
only
it's not
benefit of the
relevant.
CEO is that now all these Indians have access to all this technology that can share it with their mother nation. That's the only pro, in my opinion.
Okay, so I've researched
CEOs are not
CEO.
relevant. Chief Executive Officer is not important in the company.
Tinaja, I am a CEO of 2 companies, right? It's the most irrelevant thing.
There is a
If
company and there is a company. There is Microsoft and there is
no,
your
nowadays
company.
the company and a
Big
company. You
difference.
see, goalpost shifting all over the
The
place.
size of the
It's
company is different.
irrelevant.
What are you talking about?
It's irrelevant. It's a
You being a
job,
CEO of your
Tinaja.
company is an important position in your company. It's the most important position in your company. The same thing as it's important.
Actually,
If
it's
you
not.
look at your company,
It
your
actually
company
isn't.
to hold on. If you compare your company to Microsoft, you are talking about two on a totally different scale. And if a CEO is present in Microsoft, the power that CEO has is eclipses yours like yours is nothing compared to their power. And if
So what's your
these
point?
CEOs,
I'm confused.
my
I'm
point
confused.
is
Hang
that
on,
if these CEOs, our people, are performing as well as we like to claim, because that's what Man of Prestige, the point Man of Prestige was making,
This is
that I was
insane.
disputing with. If he's saying that our people are performing so well when we go to the West, I'm telling him that maybe we have been lured or kind of made hoodwinked to believe that narrative. It's not
Tunaja,
true. We are not
Tunaja,
performing as well as we think we are.
Yeah,
Tunaja,
okay, great.
Tunaja,
That's some crazy
Tunaja,
reasoning tonight.
Tunaja.
Yeah.
Please, when are you going to do a show to enlighten Nigerians and make them know that Nigeria government, our government cannot lift us out of poverty except the private sector? Because when you look at Nigeria, when I see people complain constantly,
UFC, Nigeria is a failed country, man.
yes,
Yeah, I
when I
agree.
look at
I
people,
agree.
when I look at people complain, I shake my head. They think government is the one to create job for them. They don't know. See, government, they are just tax collector and policy maker. Normally, it is me, you, to Nigeria that will create, set up companies that will create job for people. If we don't do it, no one will do it.
They
But
all know that. They all know that. And even the ones that should be creating the jobs, they are looking for easy routes to make money. They don't understand the fundamentals of actually
So
creating
Tinaja, before you
an
answer that
economy
question,
that produces something.
before you answer that question, Tinaja, you did ask me. You cried and cried. Type in top CEO.
I cried.
Right. Yeah, you cry like a little girl.
Just go
Anyway,
to Google. Google will list them. Don't
I
bother with this
did
one.
Google.
Tunaja,
Bro,
No,
this
go
is
back to
Google,
Google.
right?
No,
I
just go
typed
to Google
Google.
page. Just go to
I
Google
Tunaja,
page and search it.
went
Don't
to
all
go
these
Google,
and
then I
things are
click
clicked
on
already
on a
the
covered.
link. The first link that came out.
Yeah,
That
go
is
up.
Tinaja.
There's 42
How do
there.
you
There's
love
42 there. You
goalposts?
see
How
how
do
he's
you
running
search for?
away? You see how this guy is
Hang on.
dodging? He's
Ah,
abusing his
you asked
power.
me.
No,
Tunaja,
don't
Where?
do this. Stop there. Look at 42 more. 42 more.
Tunaja,
Click it. Click that 42 more. You will see more of them. Click 42 more there. Yeah, look at that 42 more.
This
Boom.
yeah.
is just
Now look at
giving
the
you
list. How
numbers
many Indians show up there versus how many
of.
black person?
Hang on, this
Look
is
at
not a
one black
list of
person there.
anything. It's just saying. No, hang on. This the highest paid
Top 10
CEOs in the United
CEOs.
States. Let's go click on it.
No. Top
I'm
10
clicking on this, right?
CEOs.
Highest paid. This is top CEOs. What the hell is a top CEO if it's not highest paid? What sort of
Are they up
metrics
to
are you
40
using,
on that
Snyder?
list? Are they up to 40 on that
So this is
list?
the highest paid CEOs. Let's go ahead and let's go through this list.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah, maybe you're right tonight, JC. Alphabet, right? That's Google. You have some Indians. That's Sundar Pichai. Okay. Man, this
Number
nigga's getting
one
paid good money,
already.
$25 million a year.
And
Barry
India, no.
McCarthy, definitely not no dusty ass Indian. George Kurtz, not an Indian. Safra Katz,
Douglas
probably
Ingram.
Indian. Douglas
No,
Ingram, not Indian. Tim Cook, not Indian. No Indian. Satya, maybe Indian.
Already two. No black person.
Reed, nope.
Chaudhry.
Probably could be.
You just keep Chaudhry.
Oh,
Chaudhry
okay,
is
this
India.
one probably, yeah. Fine. No.
Kaizo, I was telling you that
yes,
Indians have a higher IQ
India
than
again.
black
India, you see that he's
Africans. You
running
say
now.
no.
He's running. You see them on the list that you want to pull up. That's what I mean.
Sure.
You don't
Those
see
are highly
Nigeria.
paid managers.
Even that Maria Black is not black. The Maria Black is it's not a black person. That's the problem. The only time you see women is when you see top tech females. That's when you see some black people there. And I think
But I was telling you that Indians have a high. That's why we blacks, man, when we say we are intelligent, I'm like, what kind of intelligence are we intelligent in? Because we are mediocre. We always come at the bottom of everything. And then we blame the white people for doing it.
like top
Come on,
50, we
man.
are not even one. We didn't even produce one CEO. Top 50.
Exactly.
Well, we don't have any government support. Africans are doing a good job. I think you're being too harsh to Nigeria. So much, Judah, I think you're echoing.
I think we are
Yeah,
resting
Nigeria,
on our
you're clear.
laurels. We
You see,
think we are
Nigeria,
doing
you don't know
well.
how
We
to
are not.
reason, right? Hang on. You don't know how to reason. Clearly, we have Black American billionaires, right? Billionaires, not some dusty ass
Oh,
Indians who
God.
get paid in a couple millions, who own the companies. Like I keep saying, look at who owns the company. The largest shareholder is not some dusty ass for Indians who get paid a little bit of money. That's the issue to Nigeria
The
with that
evidence
argument.
supports
We're
me.
looking at
The
workers.
evidence supports me. No, you can
Indians
say whatever you like.
work hard more than black people. I agree with you. Okay, that's all.
They own
Fine.
more. They
Oh,
even outwork us. They work and get into places more. See, I'm here in the UK, and if you look at how many Indians own positions, it's crazy. And some of the positions they own are some of the best ones. And they're very. It's like far in between before you see black people around. And these are tech companies, highly paid companies.
Indians have
So
more numbers.
why
I
do
mean,
we
what
say
do you want
no?
from
My
us?
point is there's a myth out there that we as Africans go to the West and we excel so much.
That's not a
Yes,
myth.
we do well. No. There's a bit of a myth there because we don't excel to the highest levels. We
We're
barely
still
even
black.
excel to the
We're
mid-ranking levels.
Tunisia, hello. We're still black. Hello. I mean,
We
come
are still
on.
black. What do you mean?
I mean, what do you?
Okay, we still have limitations. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, what do you expect from us? We're doing our best. I mean, we're doing pretty damn well. I mean,
No. You see, you can say that, but we shouldn't rest on our laurels as if we've arrived.
what do you
That's
want us
my
to do?
problem.
Take over the country. What do you want us to do?
What I want us to realize is that the job is not even close to being done. We've not even advanced enough. We should be
know
pushing
that.
the boundaries and pushing to actually revolutionize technology within our communities because we are not competing right now. All we do is we go and become a doctor or a lawyer, maybe an architect, and work and maybe buy a house that we will sell to take care of ourselves when we get old. Zero in the end.
buy a
We are
house,
not
Naja, what
pushing
kind of low level reasoning? I'm out here buying and building mansions. So if you're out here trying to buy a house, that's why you never send even $1 super chat. Naja,
What
don't
is wrong?
project your failures into the rest of us. Some of us are
Talk
here doing
nonsense
well.
sometimes, man. What's wrong with you?
No,
you
you got Ike.
You really talk
Hang on,
nonsense
you got
sometimes.
Ike. He's a millionaire to Niger. You're comparing yourself out there on benefits, on UK benefits. You're out here saying, "Oh,
Look at this one that was
we
look at
don't
this one that
deliver."
was deported. It was because of him UK is looking to talk with Rwanda now because of the example
I mean,
he sent.
Tunisia,
They
Tunisia,
kicked
how
him
many
out of the
people?
UK.
Tunisia, I have a question for you. How many people live in Africa?
By 1.4 billion now.
1.2. How many people live in India?
1.4 billion now, actually.
Yeah, there's more Indians than Africans. I mean, what do you want us to do? We're trying our best.
We are not showing up at all. It's not like we are
There's more
showing up
Indians
out
than
of 4.
Africans.
We are not even on the list.
Not only are there more Indians than Africans, they also have their shit together. So how the fuck are we supposed to be beating them? I mean, we're doing our best.
I'm not saying we should be beating them. I'm just highlighting that we are not where we are supposed to be. We shouldn't be crowing as if
They
we
have
arrived.
one country. We have 54. And
See,
all those out of those 54 countries, how many of them even agree that we're all black or some of us have different religions? India's mostly one religion. I mean, they've got so many advantages.
See, okay, they have other disadvantages than we do not have. They have a country that is 12 times smaller than Nigeria, African countries. They have less natural resources, so they have things that are working against them too. But yet they still manage to make it work.
I'd rather
What
be
is
their
our
country
excuse?
than ours. They have a
Yeah,
common language.
Naja, sometimes I feel like you don't really understand, geopolitics at a macro level.
You don't know what you're talking. You're just looking to troll me and
Tunisia,
make
they have a
try to
common
annoy me
language.
as much as you can. That's
Tunisia,
all
they
you are
have
trying
a
to
common
do.
language and a common religion. We don't have that.
Tunisia.
Bruh.
No, hang on, Caesar. You don't even have to start explaining the specifics. Listen, you cannot compare India to any country in Africa because India is a subcontinent, guess what? It's a single administrative region. No matter what they did, they would have succeeded more than any single country in Africa. They're dealing with the fact that there's a large, population in a single administrative region. The government can literally just take millions of dollars worth of tax, do whatever it is that they want with it. African countries don't have that luxury because they are not as large as India. That's one. The closest one is Nigeria with only 200 million people. India's got 1.4, and they're dealing with a lot of tax from all those people. If Africa was a singly administrated region, based on our performance and the fact that our GDP per capita is even higher than them, we would be better than India. I hope you understand that. It's a single administrative region which benefits from a large population base. That's
I
it.
think we're
Nigeria.
just making excuses. You're just making excuses for what we are. Even what's his name, Rishi Sunak, that left Africa and went to UK, became a prime minister. See, we as a people, we are not pushing the boundaries enough. And like I said, some people will just blame us that we have low IQ and all that. I don't subscribe to that. But I'm just highlighting that, okay, yes, this is a fact. We shouldn't be sugarcoating stuff. Yes, I'm not saying that we should be blaming each other
Yeah,
for everything.
Tinaja,
But there are
that's the
certain
GDP
facts
per
that we should be
capita
getting right.
of
We shouldn't
India.
just be stating that we are doing so well when we are not.
Yeah, Tinaja, that's the GDP per capita of India, $2,256 per
Just
person
about the
per
same
year.
amount as Nigerians, which is not very good.
Exactly.
The point I'm making is
Exactly.
that they are not
Exactly.
doing that well. You are the one saying that they
What point
have
are
so
you
many.
making now?
You are saying that they have their stuff together. My point is that if they are experiencing a lot of disadvantages like we do too, but look at how far they've come. They've landed on the moon. They sent satellites to space. They have a lot of drawbacks pulling them back.
Tinaja, it's
And
like
they
you
still
don't
make it
really
work.
seem to understand logic. We've just explained to you they are a single administrative region with an ability to take taxes from 1.4 billion people.
The thing is,
Meaning,
taxes is how
even
they
if
got to where
they
they got
hang
to.
on, even if they failed, they have so much money that they can decide to do projects because they have more money coming. It's like you don't get it to Nigeria. Nigeria and Ghana do not have a single administrative region, so the money does not go into a single government that's going to do a project together. India is.
Your
That's
thing
the
is
only
your
reason
own
to
mistake. I
Nigeria.
think no. The only reason they are where they are right now is because of what I've been talking about. They are more strategic than us. That is the only reason.
Give me a
They
break.
they went ahead with their
This
own
guy is
defense.
actually.
But their defense policy is stronger
Sometimes I
than
really do
ours.
wonder what your IQ is, right?
Hold on now. You can say whatever you like, insult all you want. Their defense policy is stronger than ours. They did that, and their strategic outlook is stronger than ours. They, a long time, they decided that they are not going to be importing other people's, doing a lot of imports into their country, and they succeeded in doing that. But they didn't move headlong into manufacturing as the way China did. That's their only major mistake that they made. They didn't go, and until today, they are still struggling to even go into manufacturing. If they had gone into manufacturing like China, they would just be as advanced as China. And you see, but in the other aspect, where they have spread around the world in terms of excelling, they've completely outstripped African countries. If you put all African countries put together and compare to their population, 1 to 1, they outstripped Africans. And that is because they obviously have a strong power base. Like you like to say that.
No, we just showed you that the GDP per capita is lower than most African.
Then what is the use of talking about one
really
administrative region then? What is the use of talking about one administrative region if
it's
GDP per
simple,
capita doesn't even matter?
It's simple. India is a shithole compared to its population because its GDP per capita is lower than most African countries. That's one. The only thing that they have better than us is a little bit of industries that they've invested in, the government did, right? Because they have more money from taxes. That's it. There's nothing more than that. India is not special. China is. Hang on. China is. Because China has got $10,000 per person per year. That's a lot more than most African countries. And they're actually showing progress. India is not. India is a shithole. China is actually doing well.
You measure people by just the GDP immediately, which is all good, but it doesn't tell you about the trend, where the direction they are heading, and how well they are doing in other areas that are not measured by
the direction you think is heading, right? We're not
and the areas that are not measured by GDP,
right?
their GDP is not measured by their people that are excelling in other countries. Their GDP is measuring what's going on inside their country. So my point is that, remember, stop trying to expand the conversation. The conversation was about whether we are going to the West, because Nigerians have had us say this, and even I have also been part of it, where I say, oh, Nigerians are doing better. Yes, we are doing better individually, like when we go for an exam or in terms of qualifications. Yeah, we come out with all those qualifications. But in reality, where it truly matters, in terms of controlling stuff in societies, we don't control those stuff. Yeah, we are doctors, we are lawyers, we are architects, but we don't own. You hardly see us in boardrooms. You hardly see black people there. It's mostly, especially in the tech areas and strategic industries, You don't see us there. In politics, I can say we have even gone further than even in business, because you see the defense secretary of America now is a black guy. The UN ambassador is black, and you see some positions where you see black people only occupying. But in all these key other strategic areas where a lot of money is involved and a lot of power is also involved, you don't see us there. And I really, for me, it's quite lamentable, because that would be transferable to Africa if we were present there in those industries. You know, can you imagine if you had big people in Boeing, in NASA, in Amazon, all the, you will see that those are things they will start transferring, because
Will
all
make
those. Hold on, let me finish the point.
difference to
Let me
Nigeria.
finish the point. All those farms, what do they call those farms? Summer farms or something like that they create. You will see that because they have the experience in creating these large, this in what they call it. There's another term they use. They call these server farms. They will start being able to put it in Africa too. That will also start giving us
So,
data
Tunaja,
sovereignty, something we don't have now.
Tunaja, here's another thing that people don't realize. I didn't even realize this because of, most Africans that have come, at least to the US, have come after the year 2000. So it's like, we don't even realize like the percentage of Africans that have really come to the West, at least in the US, it's been after the year 2000. I don't know about the UK, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's the same. So we
It's
don't
true.
even have.
Actually, in the UK, is the amount of Africans that showed up in the UK is increased dramatically in the last 5 years alone.
Okay. So it's like we don't have the numbers. I know it's hard for us to realize that because I was born before the year 2000 in the West, but we don't even have the numbers that we think we have. So,
but we have more black people in the West than Indians. That's the truth. We have more black people in the West than Indians.
Former slaves.
In America, 50
former slaves.
He gives them a head start. All the other groups arrived at the same time with them.
And the Western culture is dominated by black people, so they tried. They tried, though. The music, the culture, the acting.
See,
how many black people live in the U.S. to dominate the music?
Yeah, so here's the issue. So here's the issue, right?
Niger. And power.
Yeah. So Niger, I've just done the math, right? Indian government has an annual budget of about $254 billion per year. Nigerian government has 34. Yeah. Indian government, right, has an annual budget of $254 billion.
Sorry, that has to be wrong. I'm sorry.
That country is stupid poor.
Kaiser, that can't be right.
Strategically, they are strong, but they are stupid poor.
Nigerian government is only 34 billion. 34 billion.
No Kaiser, there's no way.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
That's an example.
Well, that's how much
that's an example of what democracy does to nations. Because that's a democratic nation, but they've never managed to build.
That's the numbers I put in. That's the number on call. Yeah. So if that number is accurate, the code that I got from online, that's about $200 billion a year. So Tunaja, how are you going to compare $34 billion in Nigeria with $200 billion? Of course, the government can do more with that money, so they can build more businesses, right?
I see. My point is simple and it's been made, and evidence has backed it up. So let's not overflog that that horse. Question is, how do we get ourselves to a position where we start looking, educating the next generation to actually start creating these things? Tech industry is something very essential to us. If we don't start owning these strategic tech industries, start getting into it, even if we don't own it in the West, start building it in our own countries, we are in trouble here.
Tunaja. See, when it comes to tech, I think I'm tired of the fintech. See, we need tech
that fintech is not tech, it's stupid tech.
We need tech that solve problem, agricultural tech, industrial like manufacturing, those kind of technology we need, not the easy ones.
I'm sorry I said fintech is stupid tech, but point is it's a little bit overhyped right now.
Yeah,
but it does have its uses. It's a technology, it does have its uses for transparent transactions, being able to trace and all that stuff. Yeah.
We need tech for commercial farming.
Yes, it does have its uses, to be fair. But we actually need tech that can actually change lives on the ground, given where we are right now. We want to be able to industrialize, to be able to supply enough energy for building stuff, steel, owning our own microchip manufacturing capabilities, building strategic this industry. We have to start doing these things. If we don't do them, we are going to be in trouble. we can't
Niger,
just keep
this
taking
They're
and just
still,
looking
Niger,
back at everything.
Niger,
Tunaj,
hold
we're
on,
still
hold on.
battling electricity. I mean, I'm sorry, I hate to
Recently,
say it, but
Don't
Niger,
worry about battling something. Just
Niger,
leapfrog. Go
Niger,
ahead.
recently I saw a company, a local company in Nigeria that produced SIM card and uh, card for like Mastercard and the rest, debit card. So I said, well, owned by a lady. I said, wow, this is good. So we
Mm,
need innovating companies that does that. That's a sub problem.
yeah. I think that's something right now. What is going on is that our people are busy fleeing the country. If 141,000 Nigerians alone made it to the UK last year, it tells you how many people have left our country in just 1 year. And it probably is going to a million. And I think from the year 2000 to today, we've had at least 200 to 300,000 Nigerians coming to the UK alone.
See, let me to Niger. Many Nigerians they are not ready to build a country. All most of us, including myself, all we do is complain, complain. No one provides solution. Another thing is that we have this mentality. We want our leaders to behave in a certain way. We that are, that want our leaders to behave like that, we are not doing the same thing. We want them to do the right thing, but we are not doing the
Yeah,
right thing. It's crazy.
exactly. The whole thing is a feedback loop. And the idea that people believe that leaders just emerge. Leaders emerge when the people are ready to. The environment has to be right. The people have to be in the right place, and the leaders can emerge. There are some cases where you can see leaders emerge from nowhere. It appears that from some no reason they just showed up. You can see that,
Yeah.
but in most cases, the environment suited them to emerge. Otherwise, they won't show up. It's just the way it is, and people don't want to accept that responsibility that they are part of the problem. Some leaders, if Stalin showed up in Nigeria today, I don't think he will make it. I don't think he will make it. He will be dead. And if Lee Kuan Yew showed up in Nigeria today, he may not make it. See, he may make it
To
if he
Niger,
ends up in power, but he's not going to make it to power because the
to
people they will
Niger,
be telling him, "How dare you talk to about power like this?
to
How dare
Niger,
you?"
to Niger. Recently, you know what I discovered 2 weeks ago? There was a guy on Twitter releasing all the eternally generated revenue of the whole 36 state. Let me tell you something. South, South, and Southeast is the worst. Most of their governor, 100% of the eternally generated revenue to their office. Like those money will be spent in their like the governor office.
Mm,
That's like we are just paying tax to feed our governor.
mm, I
Then
see.
in the north, yes, they had good at least like they did well. In the southwest also, just south,
I'm quite
south, and
surprised that
south
they know they
is
pay
bad.
tax. So
no
Yeah.
offense, but I don't UFC super fans. Sometimes I feel like you live in a different. The North is the poorest part of one of the poorest
I'm
parts
a
of
bit
West
surprised
Africa.
at that.
What
That's
I'm
that's, that's
listen
why I'm
to me,
Can we
listen
surprised.
to what
stop
I'm
talking about
saying.
this
Oh
region
shit.
like they know what they're talking
Listen
about?
to what I'm saying.
They're
It's
talking
like you
about
are paying.
IGR. That's taxes.
Hold on,
Some
sir.
regions. Wait, do you know that some regions like the Southeast are low in taxes because it's pro
Caesar,
business?
keep quiet. Let me explain to you what I'm saying.
I mean, these are
Listen,
weird
what I'm saying is
metrics.
that in Anambra, for example, they generate 30 billion naira last year, and 20 billion was allocated to the governor's office. Does
Okay.
that make any sense?
Well, it could make sense because the Southeast states collect very low taxes. So if they're only
I don't.
collecting
No, no,
30
no.
billion compared
Did
to
you
another
understand
region,
what I'm trying to say? Please
I understand what you're trying to say.
calm down. Think about what I'm saying. It's like the 30 billion that your state generate, the governor just allocate almost, let me say, 80% to his office.
Yeah, but
He said
but
that's
the thing is,
okay.
they collect very small amounts of taxes compared to other states. That's the difference.
Uh,
So I don't know, like compared to
Let
another
me tell
state
you
that has
something. It's
200
not they
billion.
collect small amount. If you want to develop your region and your state, governors need to collect tax from the citizen to build the state if they really want to develop
It
the
depends
southeast.
on how that state works. Every state's different. Okay, so I'm
Okay,
not.
see, see,
I'm
see.
not gonna. The
Hold
North
on,
is a
Caesar.
horrible
Caesar,
region. I
Caesar,
hope
calm
you
down.
realize that, right? It's extremely
Caesar,
poor,
calm down.
low
Caesar, calm down.
literacy rates. I
For
mean, literacy
instance,
rates are
hold
17%.
on,
I
Caesar,
mean, I don't think
Caesar,
you know what you're talking about, to
please,
be quite
Caesar.
honest.
Because I always heard that there are a lot of things in the southeast. For example, Edo State generates more revenue than Anambra State. Does
Why
that
does
make
that
any
matter? If
sense?
it's a low, we don't collect taxes. It's a low tax.
Oh,
Have you heard of
okay.
a tax-free zone? Have you heard of that? Tax-free zone. It promotes businesses. Businesses want to go to places
Tunaja,
with low
you know
tax.
one thing I
Yeah.
notice about Tunaja, let me say this now. One thing I notice about my southeastern brothers and sisters is that they like to defend their leader, but they will criticize others and then keep their own safe. I don't know
Why
why they
are you
do that.
comparing a
When
region with
it's
one of the highest
hold
literacy
on, I need to
rates
say
to
this
a
because I'm
region
telling
with
you what.
a
Hold
10%
on,
literacy
I'm
rate?
telling you
I
what
mean,
your
this is
leader. Hold
no
on,
one
I'm
in their
telling you what
life
your
would
leader
choose
should
to
do,
live
because you
Caesar,
want to
please
in.
let him
thank you.
have
No, no,
his
no, no,
say
no,
now. Then
no,
you
no,
can have your
no.
own say.
Nobody in their life would choose living in the north over any southeast state. So
Have you been
this,
to the north?
I
Have
don't
you
want
been
to
to
go
the
because
northern
I don't want to
Nigeria?
go.
You
Low
see, don't
literacy
see,
rates,
see,
Then keep
Caesar,
poverty.
quiet.
I mean,
Caesar, please
you don't talk
don't
like
do
a
that.
human being. I'm
You
sorry,
are,
you don't talk
you
like
are,
a
you,
human
you
being.
are, you are, you are not being reasonable now,
No,
because
in every
if you are being
single
reasonable,
metric.
you'll be
No,
patient for
no.
him to finish
In
talking,
every
and
single
you are
metric.
just reacting.
No, no, no. In every
Yes,
single
that's what
metric,
he
they're
does
lower. I mean, what
mostly.
are you talking
He's
about?
just
Every single
reacting.
metric. Human life expectancy,
Yeah, you may have that,
CPI.
but they have things that they like for themselves, so leave it for them.
Yeah,
They
leave it
prefer
for
it.
them. But don't try to talk like when you compare the two, it's like if you want to live there, live there. But don't try to brainwash me into thinking that because I'm
You should be
rational.
worried. You should be asking yourself why there are so many Southeasterners in the north too.
Thank you very much.
How
Thank you
many?
very much,
So,
Tunaja.
Tunisia, most Southeasterners live in the Southeast. So, what's your
Of
point?
course, that's how most people behave, but it doesn't mean
Exactly.
that the Southeasterners are traveling to the north more than any other group.
Yeah. What's your point? So, who are the other groups that we can
Point
compare
is
this to?
that the place is not it's not like hell where people cannot live. People do survive there too.
Well, yeah, people do survive there, but why are you comparing
So,
heaven
but
and hell?
why are you finding that the problem that he just said that the South did not they collected more tax on behalf of the state than
Because why does that
and
matter? Why
because it
does that
doesn't
matter?
matter in terms of governance if people are actually paying their
If
tax
the
and they
but
can actually be able to use it
Tunisia, if
to
the
build
literacy rates
stuff.
are 12% or 30%, what's the point of what's the point?
The point of collecting it is the ability that they can it has the
Okay,
potential for them
can
to
we
do
pull up
something.
the literacy rates so we can talk about what these states are doing? Let's pull up the literacy rates.
Oh my god.
If the literacy rate's not above 40%, please don't talk about the North ever again. I'm sorry.
Your problem is that you are not understanding stuff. You
No,
think
the
just because
problem is
somebody
I think
has something
I'm 20 years
negative,
ahead.
nothing good comes out of there. Just
If
because they
people
have something
cannot
negative, something
read,
good can also come out of there.
if people cannot read or write, I don't care what they're doing. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
let me tell you something. Let me open your eye right now. The North, they might not write in English, but they can write in Arabic. You understand me? And their local
No,
language.
they can't.
Oh no. See. Listen, it's part of education. That doesn't mean they are illiterate. They are not. If they can write in their local language, is that not okay? If they can write in their local language, and most of them they do.
They
So come
can't
on.
write in Hausa. Just cut it out.
Yeah, can I come in there on that point since you guys are taking a break from? I thought you were here talking about the country wasn't to make the country good. The guy UFC, it's either trolling. I don't know if he's serious about the arguments he's
I'm
making.
serious,
Okay, let me ask you
Pastor. I know
something.
you.
Let me ask
So
you something. Can you quote
yeah,
me? Can you quote a text, a book in physics that the Northerners can read in in their Arabic language or biology? See, education is not just speaking English or being
thank you.
jingoistic, talking about how good your tribe is or whatever, right? Or collecting taxes. Anybody who is in the United States, aside from people who are in Britain, who barely qualify to talk about democracy and capitalism, right? If you are going around talking about internally generated revenue or whatever, what is that revenue made out of? Taxes is one of them. There are other things. Say somebody in the ports and they collect money from Port Authority or whatever, right? But it's not a virtue. You have to be business friendly. The best state will be where you collect the least taxes. Because when you tax a good thing, you get less of it. That's the way it works. Now, if it's a state that It's like a social state, even a communist state. Fine. You collect all this money to each according to his ability, and then you provide a lot of services with that money that you're collecting. But in Nigeria, we know that's not the case. Even when they rip us off, like Abacha took a lot of our money and went and gave it to Europeans, and they returned the money, do you ever see that line item in the budget where that money came in? They reload the money. When EFCC go and collect money from people, rip them off because it's an arm of an oppressive government, and they collect that all that money, it doesn't help us. How, okay, UFC, how much have you gotten from Nigeria in terms of services, whatever? But this Nigeria, whether it's northern Nigeria, I don't know where your allegiance goes
Pastor,
to.
see the
How
reason
much
why I
have you
raised
collected? How much have you
hold on.
gotten from Nigeria in the last
The
10
reason
years?
why
Tell
I
me.
raised the reason why I raised this issue is that we need to pay more attention to our local and state leaders. We need to
Absolutely.
pay we need to
Absolutely.
pay
But
attention more.
that
Instead
is
of this
true.
federal government we are doing, it's not going to help
That is
us. We need
true,
to pay
but you're
attention to our
couching
local
it,
government.
you're couching the debate that kind of makes your argument flat because what you're trying to say is absolutely true. But when you start that argument by talking about the virtues of northern Nigeria, which means you're not serious, you're trolling.
No, listen,
These
listen.
people, let me land now.
I
Let
have
me
not
land. You've been
forgotten how they
talking.
have
Let me
hurt
land.
you.
Let me land. Let me land. I
Caesar
know that
was
you're not
See, I was
serious.
responding. Hold on, I was
I
responding
know
to
you're not
Caesar.
serious, so let me just land. You're not serious. So
You too,
for
you
right
are not.
now,
You are not. You are not
what you have
serious
to
at all. Because I
understand
know you
is
here.
that,
I know you on this
and
platform. You normally fool yourself.
shame on to Niger for shepherding you in to be this kind of person you are, because he should know better. I saw the kind of argument he's making. Even though I'm here, he still doesn't even care that I'm here, and he's supporting you, promoting.
Because you are
Are
because you
we
are
supposed to?
useless.
No, wait a minute.
Because you are useless.
Are we supposed to
Because you
ignore
are
what we
useless.
see? Don't we see northern
Because you are
Nigeria?
useless.
We,
Okay.
we look at not we look at
Because
northern
if you're not
Nigerians.
useless,
They're not
you
going to school, right?
you flee
They're not
from
going to school.
Nigeria. So if not for the United States that you flee to, you have been as poor as the Amajiri. So
Okay,
keep
good.
quiet.
So, okay, so
Nami,
what I'm saying to you is that you are in Nigeria. The way they have to do the social media is that you need to get a visa before you come here to talk with us. You're not supposed to be here on the same platform with us because you know you need to go to an embassy, get a visa, then you join the platform, because it's like two different
People,
worlds when we're
people
talking.
like you will not be here. People
You
like
don't
you will
have a
not be
boot to
here.
piss in, you don't have a window to throw it out of, and we're just put on the same platform, and you are retarding our discussion.
You are too old
Now,
for this.
even though
You
you
are too old
know,
for this, man.
even though you know that you have a lot of other African countries listening to this platform, you come here talking clannish and
Go
village
to Dr. Damage. Go and go. Yeah,
tribal
see, this is not Dr.
tribal
Damage.
stuff,
You can go to
right?
Dr. Damage and do your thing there.
You
Okay? It's
you
not
don't
Dr.
have a
Damage.
shame in the world. Now you have somebody that's correcting you, trying to tell you the right
Keizo.
thing.
Because
Why
it's
would
not
you
because
why would you be
he was
discussing
not
issues?
correcting me because what
Let
he's
me
saying is
somebody
useless.
please mute this guy now. Let me land, please. I don't
Land
want
what?
to.
You're not going to
Yeah.
land here,
So
okay?
what I'm telling you is that why would anybody come here discussing about tribal issues that all the tribes have in common, right? It's like coming here talking about black.
No,
Say, hey, look,
no, no,
you
no,
say,
no, no. Because
look,
when I start,
Southwesterners are black. Okay. Now,
I didn't
well,
mention
South,
Southwesterners are black,
it's an
okay?
analogy. Hold on. Somebody mute that kid, please. Please mute this boy because I want to make a point that's important that
Keizo,
I will let him.
please remove
So
this guy, remove this old
what
man.
what I'm
Because all
saying
he
is that
normally do is come here to
when
cause
you
trouble.
come on a platform
Go
and you're
to Dr.
discussing
Zamich channel.
something that
Go
all
to
the
Dr.
tribes have in
Zamich channel.
common,
You are
which
not
is
meant to be
poor
there.
leadership at the
Go to
gubernatorial
Dr.
level,
Zamich channel.
right? All the tribes have poor leadership both in the gubernatorial level, local level, every portfolio. We don't have it. So all of them have that in common. So when you come here, you say, hey, look, Yorubas are black. Well, so are the Hausas, so are the Igbos. We have all that in common. Therefore, you have to
Because
be
if we
discussed.
don't know where the problem is, we'll be blaming other people for our problem. We should hold
That's
our leaders.
that
That's what
is
I'm
what I'm
saying.
saying. That is a common thing for all of them. They have that in common. Now, let me tell you something that you ought to understand. Maybe you don't know. Right? I doubt it, but I think maybe you don't know. Every little evil that you are perpetrating on this internet, running around, you're ubiquitous on all these little privacies, right? And you're talking nonsense and evil and hatred and wickedness. It really does make a difference. I want you to know that. It's not just trolling, a gag. It makes a big difference.
You
And
are
I'm
the
pleading
biggest
with
troll.
you.
You are the
Listen to
biggest
me.
troll on the platform, okay? You are the
Let me
biggest
land
troll.
now. Let
So
me
keep
land. After
quiet.
I land, then you can respond. Okay, it's okay. Just let me be heard. I will end in the next 1 minute. What I'm saying to you, it's not a benign activity. What you're doing, right? You have to promulgate truth. Now, I have no qualms with you saying things that are wrong, that are bad. If you don't know, if it's ignorance, but in your case, the propellant is wickedness and hatred, and you have to stay away from that because it really does hurt a lot of people what you're doing, and you have zero to gain from it. Now that's my definition of evil.
I'm not an.
I,
Listen, I
I,
don't
I've
hate on
said it
any
before.
tribe. I don't
You
hate on any tribe. What I don't
let,
like is
let
that
me land, and then you can respond. I said a minute, right? Yeah, I've spent about 30 seconds
go ahead
on it.
and
Just
land. You are talking,
hold your
talking,
hold your
talking. You are
breath.
not landing.
Okay, okay. I yield right here. Go ahead. Go ahead and respond. It's okay. Go ahead.
But see, you complain here. What you do every time when you come on this platform, you always talk bad about the North. I don't think you have met any of them once, but you always online here talk bad about Nigeria. You speak bad about the North. So what's your problem with the North? Did they steal your wife? Did
Is that
they
a
collect
question
your
that you want me
business?
to
Or
answer
what did
that?
they do?
You want me to answer? Or is that a
Yes, go ahead
rhetorical
and
question?
answer.
Because I deny that. I do not speak bad about the North.
You do that. You do that all
No.
the time, okay?
Well,
I've been
let me
following
land
you.
now. Let me land. Right? Because if I ask you for okay, let me ask you.
So don't lie here.
What is one bad thing I said about the North? You don't have any.
Yes, see. One, they want to Islamize Nigeria.
Okay, hold
Two,
on. Hold on right there. Hold
they,
on. Hold on
go-
now. I say one. I say give me one. You have one worse than that. You can give me one worse than that. If that's the worst thing, then let me respond to that. All right. So if you think that I'm saying they want to Islamize Nigeria, right? What you then should come up to say is that no, they don't. Here is what they're doing. I am not alone in thinking that they want to Islamize Nigeria. They've Islamized the North itself, right? We're not an Islamic culture. Africans, all the religions that we have in the country are alien to our ancestors. So, based on a historical anthropological perspective, I caught them red-handed doing it. They Islamized the north, northern Nigeria. They've Islamized half of Yoruba, right? And politically, they're on the ascendancy. We normally used to have one Christian president here with a Muslim vice president, and then we have it to be juxtaposed the next time around. But right now, they're not satisfied with that. They've got a Muslim ticket and forged and rigged the election, and they're bombing their nemesis right now. You see what's happening in the Kaduna? They're killing the Shiites. They killed them before in 2015. Right now, they bombed them again in the camps, right? And they did the same in the southeast. They're doing the same in the southwest. That's why you have Iboho fighting them over there. In the plateau, the governor, those people will tell you themselves. If you go to Governor Autumn, for instance, he will tell you that he barely makes it home every day when he was governor. They were trying to assassinate him, and they're right now putting his people in IDP camps. And they're buying them every day in the scores. They're doing so in the southeast, they're doing so in the southwest, and they're doing so in the north themselves, because you have a lot of minorities. It's probably half Christian, half Muslims in the north, believe it or not. But you wouldn't know it. So that's why I'm accusing them of that. I'm not saying it because of the corporates themselves, even though they're nothing to write home about. When I accuse them of something, it's something they're doing that we're going to stop them from doing it anyway. They're wasting their time. Because if you look at the way the world is, it's based on science, technology, the truth, progress. So if anybody's standing opposed to that, what do you think is going to happen to them? You look at it on your screen every day with Hamas and the Palestinians against the Israelis. Now, I'm somebody who would have ordinarily supported the Palestinians. I used to. But if you are going to be hating on our people, buying our people, I'm not going to support you. I'm not going to support you. So that's what's happening at UFC. I don't know where the hell you come from. I don't know what culture you have. But what we want to hold on to is a system where there's equal rights for every citizen of Nigeria, a secular state.
Are you sure, Pansat, when you keep talking about other minority tribes, when it suits you? And I see some of there are truths on both sides. Um, there are some elements in the north that want to use religion as a way to expand the Islamic agenda. It's not even hidden; they own up to it. And there are people in the south that also want to use their own ethnicity to dominate other people. It's just human issues that we are describing there. It's not new. The trick is to make all those things work for us. Other nations have them, but they are able to function. So our talking about all these things is just a kind of showing that a symptom of the fact that we don't seem to have anything else to grab onto that is on a higher level. And this is why I just try to stay away from that because it's of no productive. It's not going to lead us anywhere. What is going to lead us somewhere is like some of this conversation we are having earlier on. At least before we build our capabilities, we can acquire knowledge. The more knowledge you have, the faster you can be able to build when you need it. Like China, like Japan now. Japan, they have the capacity to build a nuclear weapon if they wanted to, because they have the capacity to do it, but they are not doing it. And that's the stuff. We too need to be somewhat like that, where we build capacity so that when we need it, we can call on it. We can't start from 100. Have to start from somewhere. And in the end, if something is not proving useful, is it not logical to just move away from it and exercise discipline to move away from it? Because if you keep getting dragged into it over and over again, you're losing time. You don't have a long time in this world. Our time is not limitless. We have to use it judiciously to contribute as much as possible to the right kind of conversation and the right kind of actions that we need to take. And that is what I try to encourage and try to get involved in, because I to get caught in some of all these conversations about tribe and all the rest, but in the end, it's not going to get you anywhere, and it never got any people anywhere. The only thing that gets people anywhere is when they band together, use their strengths to get
To
an
build.
advantage in this
Yeah.
world. Yeah, that's how it works. So
Yeah,
that's
but
my
look,
own take.
to Niger, it's all that what you said right there. Now, who's gonna disagree with that? That's 100% correct, right? But in practice, is that what you're doing? That's not what you're doing. As a matter of
That's
fact,
what
I
I'm
was here.
actually doing.
Let me land now. I was here. I listened in for almost maybe 15 minutes to 20 minutes, and you weren't doing that because you leaping from cogent, patriotic, Afrocentric stuff, big tall issues like the gap between white and blacks, for example, or the north and south, like they say, north politically meaning rich countries and then poor countries for the south. And then you go tribal. You miss a lot of discussion, there's no intermediate discussion. You leap in from the big thing that we all have in common to tribal and clannish issues, right? And then the most shameful thing is that you have a kid, there's somebody there talking, I don't know who that was, who was talking about things you already know. How do you think these white folks are able, and these Western countries are able to develop their countries because they uphold certain doctrines that are sacrosanct. Truth. When something is true or false, you cannot want and wish to defeat Oyibo or emancipate the black man if you do not hold that particular doctrine sacred, which is true and false. Now, somebody was correcting the kid, the UFC. To Niger, I mean, you cannot expect me to take you seriously for the other things you're talking about because the truth is modular. You're not gonna leap into the 21st century or 22nd century or whatever it is unless you have those building blocks. I mean, there's no shortcut. You have to adhere to when something is true, you check it off as true. When something is false, you reject it. This is what they did for so many years. This is the basis for discovering everything that's ever been discovered. You cannot, you know, hug falsehood and expect to make any progress. It's impossible. So what I'm saying is that it's a modular thing. When you went to kindergarten and they're teaching you, maybe they start teaching you from 1, 2, 3 to 10. You learn how to count to 10, and then from there you build, and you come to realize, oh look, when you add that 10 plus 10 is actually 20. That's the way we're gonna have to do it. We have to build on truths. Now, if you have somebody coming here and talking about how the Northerners have it going on and the Southeasterners and Southerners don't have it going on, what metric? That is not every single
See,
metric you could measure, right? These people are not going to school
hold
for
on,
one thing.
hold on, hold on.
I've said
See,
that
I
going to
was
school. Let me
hold
let
on.
me land now. Let me land,
I was
please.
speaking based on facts.
Let me land,
Information was
please.
dropped last year of the 36 states, what they generate, and what the state
Yeah,
governors
I
allocate
understand,
to
but we have
themselves.
when we were in
Then they
Nigeria, we
send
used to
me,
listen to me.
hold on.
UFC,
What is
when we were in
hold on.
Nigeria, we used to think that way, that
Oh,
you generating money from taxes make you a big man. No, all right. There are many. For example, even in this country, there are so many states that do not charge state tax, and they do far much better than those who charge a lot of taxes. When you tax something, you get less of it. So if somebody's a manufacturer and you're taxing them to death, they're gonna manufacture fewer, so they
if you
avoid
don't
paying
tax
tax.
the citizen, how are the government going to build the infrastructure that we need?
Very, very good. Let me answer that question
Okay,
because
yes,
now,
answer the question.
because this is where, like I said, most people and now
Hmm.
from today I'm gonna look at you differently, right? Because I used to think maybe you do know and you're doing the wrong thing.
Just land.
Because of
Go
that,
ahead
hold on,
and say
because
whatever
of
you
that
want to
question
say.
you asked, right?
Yeah.
It means that you sincere. You don't know, right? When there comes a paradox, now that's why I catch people who don't really know because it's a paradox. It
How will
looks
you
like
develop your
will you will you
infrastructure
will
without
you
tax? Go
will
ahead
you
and tell me. Stop all this big
no,
talk.
no, no. Hold on.
How
I
will you
have to
develop your
for the.
infrastructure
Listen,
without
listen.
tax? Go ahead.
I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah.
Please. This is a very, very important question. But for others who may
Yeah.
not be as bright as you are, let me put some caveat in place. Hold on. Listen to me. That is what's called, or you both call it a paradox. It's something that should look this way, but it's actually the other way. Now that's when you know when somebody's sincerely ignorant because it makes sense what you're saying if you tax more money. But that's not the way government operates. It's not from taxing people and doing that's not how they make their money. Governments make money, it's called a balanced budget. Do you understand? A government takes in money and then they spend that money and they're supposed to end up with zero, believe it or not, right? Technically speaking. So it's not, it's the individual. But there's something I want you to take away from me today when I leave this forum with you, UFC.
Can
I
you
want you
please
to
now
know
don't lecture
I'm
me,
not,
okay?
I'm
Don't
not,
lecture
I'm
me.
not,
Go ahead and land your message so we get
I,
what you are saying.
I am. I mean, please don't talk again until I'm done. Would you do that? I'll be done in 2 minutes. I give you, let me
Then
post
go
ahead of
ahead.
time. I'll be done in 2 minutes. So be quiet. So what I'm saying to you is that I want you to know that you are more important, you as an individual, than that country, Nigeria. That is the way. You have an individual. Your individuality is the highest order. When you come into the pecking order, right? You as an individual, that is where it is, not the country. Do your best for your country. Your patriotism is not supposed to be to that government. It's to yourself and your fellow citizens. So you don't worry about the government making money. It's not you. The problem is you make your money, pay your taxes, do the right thing for yourself. Forget about Nigeria. They're gonna make money. The state operates by a budget. They're not there to amass all kinds of wealth. First of all, they're not, even a very good state such as the United States cannot be trusted. How much more the country itself? That state is an oppressive but necessary evil. You don't know this, but that's just it's been tested and it's proven. I know that Niger has respect for Machiavelli. If you look at his the looks of when you look at a state, their job is to protect that country. That's they have specified role in the constitution. Now, the way a good constitution says it is this: whatever is not given to that government inures to the citizen. You have a constitution, and you give the power as a citizen, as a Nigerian. You are saying to this government, say, look, we are sovereign. I'm sovereign as an individual, as a people, but we are going to have a constitution. In this constitution, we're going to give the government certain powers. To the president, we'll give so and so, commander in chief, blah, blah, blah. To the House, to the Senate, to the governors, we give them these powers, and this is their limited power. Whatever else we didn't give them, we hold to ourselves. We own it. We hold on to it. So with all that stuff that's given to the government, there are responsibilities. And Nigerian state does not uphold any of those responsibilities that they're supposed to have. They just want the power that we gave to them. So I want you from today, you have to look at it because it's a paradox. The government, don't worry about the government making money. They have powers given to them in that constitution. They can always make money, right? They can. It's not for you to advocate for them to have more taxes. It's for you to advocate for your people to pay less taxes. Less. Now, if it's a dilemma in a way because if it's a state that is not practicing capitalism, right? It's social. It's taking care of our elderly, our students, building roads, providing a high-speed internet, right? Launching satellites into space, competing to bring prestige to Nigeria because that's important as well. Right? I have 7 factors like that. If he's doing that, then people would pay taxes and they can generate taxes because there'll be so much business activity, they don't know what to do with money. But that's not the kind of country we have, anyways. But if we let's just say they're doing the best thing they can, like those things I'm listed, yeah, you could pay taxes and you're gonna be very proud of it because they're gonna use it properly. But tax is a necessary evil. You don't measure a government by how much tax. If you want to say to the world, hey, world, look at how stupid I am, just go out there and say you are an advocate for more taxes for the government. That's what it means. It means that you're stupid. There's no doubt about that. Go and after you leave now, go and check. So I know that you are influenced by people like Kolata, who goes about talking about IGR. First of all, that's a stupid word, IGR. I mean, what does that mean? Internal generated revenue. When you if you're gonna count the revenue that Bielsa generates, that's that whole oil or River State
Okay,
or
hold on.
Anambra State or
If
Anambra State.
you
Let me just like
can I hold
so
on, let me ask you before you go.
yeah.
Can I see if you want to build roads, rail, bus transportation system
hmm
without the citizen paying tax,
hmm
how is the government going to fund this project? Are they going to just I don't know, go to the
Yeah,
bank, go to the bank and build these things? What are
they
they going
can.
to do with it?
They
Huh?
can. They can do that. They can because
Without
when
tax?
you without tax, not even a penny of tax, because when the government put in those buses or trains, Those things are supposed to generate money to pay for that. Now,
What are
remember,
they
the
going to
government.
use?
Let me
Hold
land
on.
now.
What are they
The
going to use
government,
to build this? Hold on, sir. What are they going
yeah,
to use to build this infrastructure? What are they going to use?
money. Now, hold on. Remember, who prints the money? I'm telling you that the government operates by budget. Listen to what I'm saying, right? It's not supposed to be annual, even, when they have an omnibus. If it's a serious country, for example, remember Nigeria prints their own money, right? They give the money to the banks. That paper they print is absolutely useless if there's no value attached to it. If Nigeria wants to get 1 million buses right now and in the next budget, and they budget 1 million buses, right? Are you sorry for the government? They print the money, it's their money, right? If they want to borrow money, they can also borrow money and use it for infrastructure, especially one that's going to return. Don't feel sorry for any government. They have the power to print money. If they don't go thinking that taxes is what Nigeria is running on, it's not, or any other
Panza,
states. It's not the tax money. That's not
Panza,
what they're
can
running
I
on.
add a little bit to what you're saying, a different perspective to what you're saying?
Sure,
Um,
go ahead.
So, UFC super fan. The reason why someone like me, I'm not pro taxation, right? Is okay. I live in the U.S. I have a certain amount of money. Let's say I have $100,000. I've worked really hard in the U.S. I want to come back to Nigeria and invest my money to do a business, right? Would I rather go to a state with high taxes or low taxes? Well, I would rather go to a state with low taxes so I can put most of my money into my business. I don't want to give up 40% or 50% of my income to the state. Why would I want to do that, right? If I have to choose a state to live in, am I going to choose the state with a lot of taxes? Maybe Agbaros are bothering me, wanting me to give them fees, or would I prefer a place where it's pretty smooth sailing? So the way these states can attract high people with money is through low taxes. That's the first thing right there, right? It's just more efficient. Also, here's another thing. Governments should not be building anything. Governments should not be running. Governments should be making rules. But governments are bad at building things. Businesses are good at building things. So if the government can attract a business to build the roads and incentivize private citizens to build roads versus them squandering the money, I would prefer that. That would be my answer for you. Thanks.
No, I agree with you. I will prefer that also. I will prefer PPP, public and private sector partnership. I think that to me that's the best because the private sector are mostly people are most serious than the politicians and the political leaders. So I believe if we want to see serious development, the private sector need to involve in developing the country.
Well, with that stipulation, do you know what you're saying by just making that statement? That there shouldn't be any with that what you just said. There's no daylight between you and I, or anybody who means well for the country, because by saying that you are admitting a lot of things, right? It's a very big statement you just made. It's doctrinal. It's life changing. You have to, when you look at the government, it's a necessary evil. If we're populated by angels, everybody just doing the right thing, you don't need a government.
I
It's
know
it's
for a
it's for,
fact
it's for
Panta lives
us.
in Texas. Panta, you live in Texas, right? I know for a fact you live in Texas, right?
I don't live in Texas, no.
Oh darn! The way you're talking, you sound like a Texan. Keep going.
No, I don't live in Texas. I like Texas, the
He
Lone
live
Star
in
State.
California. He's in
So the way
California.
on a serious discussion, what UFC just said gives me a lot of hope. I really like the last comment he made. I was just trying to circle around it and make sure that he knows the ramifications, because there's so many Nigerians that they will say, "Hey, 10 is greater than 9," right? Which is a true statement on his face. And then the next day, when you say, "Hey, UFC said 10 is greater than 7," he says, "Hey, look, I didn't say 10 is greater than 7. I said 10 is greater than 9." But when you say 10 is greater than 9, you're saying a lot of things. One of them is that 10 is greater than 7 because it's mathematical truth is modular. When you said here, now, our Northern brothers, when you say North, a lot of people look at it geographically. It's not geographical. In our local balance, when we're talking about North, when we say North, we normally don't say Northern Nigeria, we say the North. You're talking about Islamic northern tradition, right? Well, we are at that intersection where we have to resolve things based on true and false. Now, if you have Western tradition and they are right, we have to go with that. Our ancestors are not made for any of these two religions. They have their virtues and they have their vices with the human input in it. So when we're talking about North, like he's accused me of saying the North, that I said things that are wrong about the North. Now we're talking about cultural, political stuff that they try to import from their religion to destroy our secular constitution. They're smuggling in Sharia in there, cutting off people's limbs and doing all kinds of stupid things. Well, I'm not going to stand for that. So that's we have to pick and choose here. What I'm saying generally is that if you say, hey, look, they don't have to go to school because they can read in their own cultural language, which is Islam. But look, that is just not true because we're not talking about reading, reading comprehension, that kind of English language. We're talking about physics, computers, artificial intelligence, satellites, calculus. We're talking about biology. We're talking about philosophy, all kinds of things. So now, if you excuse them with philosophy, let's say religion deals with that here and there. They can read and write in the normal way that we're talking about, which is physics, additional mathematics, calculus, and even algebra. Now, even though algebra was invented by the Arabs some time ago, but that's some time ago, right? They're not out there teaching people algebra and the northern Amajiris because they don't want them to go to school talking that nonsense about Arab tradition. When they go over there, Arabs are looking at them like they're crazy. Even if Fulani would tell you that the Hausa, it's not the same with them. To them, as far as they're concerned, the Hausa could be hugging them, saying, hey, we're Hausa Fulani. But as far as the Fulani is concerned, hey, look, we're different from you. We come from a different thing. We're different. Okay, so now the Hausas are our brothers. So somebody's have to correct them because if you want one Nigeria, that's what you want. You want a uniform country where roads are built in the north, roads are built in the south, east, and west. Infrastructure is developed based on what's best for the entire country, right? I want to come on vacation to Nigeria. I want to go to the north, enjoy myself, but I don't want people with bombs in their pockets, terrorists,
Okay,
menacing everybody.
Fansad,
What?
please, do you know that majority of Americans, they didn't attend higher education? Do you know?
Can I
Majority
answer
of
you that?
Americans,
Can
they
I
don't
answer
have
that?
higher education,
Let me answer you.
but they
Let
are
me tell
doing
you.
well.
There's something that is not true in the United. You
I
have to
said it is
look at
true. You
it.
can
Go
check
and
it
look at the
online.
index.
Percentage is
Go and
about
look at it.
37% of the
No.
population
Listen.
with higher
Listen to me.
education.
It's a known phenomenon. The stats are there. You have to just Google it. All right. When you
Yes, that's
talk
what I'm
about
saying. 37%
no. Let's. What is percent of what? What's the percentage for what?
for
What are you talking about?
Americans with higher education.
Yeah, but higher education. We're not talking about higher education, and I have never talked about higher education here. What I'm
Okay.
talking about is
Literacy
literate
rates. Literacy
literacy.
rates.
Literacy. Listen, hold on one second. Literacy. Higher education is a virtue, but no, not everybody should go into higher education in that sense. And the education doesn't have to be orthodox. True, which is I think that's what you're trying to say. If these people are doing unorthodox education, but education nonetheless, all right, which is based on number one, literacy. The literacy rate of Nigeria is known. Sometimes we like to boast and talk nonsense all the time, but they know, or you both know a lot of things about the country. They know about Nigeria. They know about their own country because it starts. You have to be able to measure these things. Nigeria doesn't even know. They don't have a uniform way to know who is in the country, who is a citizen. They don't have like something equivalent to say social security number where you can identify everybody in the country because they are impeding our progress. These are things people developed hundreds of years ago. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to have a PhD. No, you're right about that. Higher education is good, but it's not compulsory. But literacy is important, and being savvy, at least have some class. They don't even have class up north, right? They don't have class. You cannot have class, and you are over there trying to be buying people who are different from you, especially your fellow citizens. You don't have class. If you went to school, you wouldn't do that. I'm talking about primary education, secondary education. You
I
have
wish you say these
value.
are
You have
is very, very important. Primary and secondary school education is very important.
It's very, very important.
Thank you. I'm glad you agree with that one. Thank you.
Who said that? Who am I talking to? Who just
Well,
said that?
I just spoke. I said I'm glad that UFC agrees that
Of
primary
course,
school
I
is
agree with
important.
that.
You know,
Come on,
I'm glad we
Oh,
now
okay.
you know.
Right, right. So UFC,
that should be compulsory for everybody, for every kid.
yeah, yes, it should be. But now you go to the south, we do very well with that. You go to Western Nigeria, you go to South, we do very well with that. Which is to say, go to school. When we say that, we mean your primary and secondary education. It's almost compulsory. When I was in Nigeria, that you wouldn't even think about it not to go to school, right? But two, the Northerners don't want to do that. Now that's very, very important. If you do you agree with that, UFC? Do you agree with that? They don't do very well with making their people go to school. Do you agree with that?
I think that's I'm not gonna lie, that's a major failure on their
Yes.
leadership. I'm not Yes, a major failure in their leadership.
But it's
Very
not
major
just a
failure.
major failure, it's the whole
No,
thing. If you
no,
don't do
the
that,
major failure in some state, however, because when this past governor came into power, at least he did his best. He tried. I think I don't want to
no,
mention his
no,
name, but I know
it
he
cannot
tried.
be retailed.
The
It
former
cannot be
governor of
retailed by a governor. It's a cultural phenomenon, right?
the
It's something that if they did
okay,
it,
no
we have
problem.
a
I agree
unified.
with you. Let's not
we-
argue about it.
No, no, we're not. What I'm saying is that let me tell you the difference between me and two Nigeria or anybody else who's talking here. I go with when you stipulate what the implication of that stipulation means is it's very, very important. If you agree with that, that's the whole thing. There shouldn't even be further debate because it's not retail where one individual, a governor, come in and it's a cliche, but education is very, very important. And then when you're talking about it, people are thinking about college professorship or going to Harvard
However,
or
but I understand. But majority of them also they are well educated also. So they are not
that is
just
not
all
true.
of them. They are
No,
That's
that is
not
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 just
true.
true.
all
That's
of
not
them
true.
You're dialing it back. Okay, you
no, no,
make
no.
a good
Some
point there.
Most of
You are
them are well educated, well
no,
educated. Let's be sincere here. Let's not
no, but
generalize.
let me tell you. Let me UFC. Did you hear what I said before? I said education is not speaking English. When you go through
Yes, most
school,
of
you
them
get.
are well educated.
Let me define
So
education there
it's
for you.
spread
Will you hold
across.
on?
Even
Please,
hold
please
on,
hold
sir.
on. Please.
Hold on. In my state, there are still people who are not educated. That is, they are illiterate, 100%. There are still a lot of them
Yes,
in my state.
yes.
So it is all over the country. So
What
let's
is your
not
state? What
generalize
is your
here.
state? What is your state?
I'm from Edo State.
Edo State. Now you cannot compare Edo State with these northern states. Now Edo State is a very up there in the education scale, right? Of course, when you talk about Edo, you have a lot. You have Akoko Edo. You have northern, the southern part of Edo State, right? There's an intersection as well with tradition there. You have Muslims there, right? Now, what I'm saying to you is that education will give you not just speaking English, critical thinking, math, English, physics, biology, things like that. The basics, philosophy, arts.
Panzak, can I tap in for a second? I
Sure.
I, I think my biggest issue with this topic is politics aside. Let's just stick with the facts. The Southeast, the South, and the Southwest, by every single metric, is a better state, better government, better place to live. Every single metric, except who collects more taxes, if that counts as
You
a
need
metric. Only in Nigeria, as I
Do you
mentioned, by
live
the
in
way.
Nigeria?
Only
Hold
in
on. If you
Nigeria.
don't live here,
Only
don't
in the
just say
Federal Republic.
whatever you want.
UFC, let me
Don't
finish.
come. Don't hold on. Don't
Only in
visit
the Federal
Nigeria for
Republic of
2 weeks and
Nigeria
believe you know
is
Nigeria.
IGR a
This is the
thing. I want to make
problem.
this very clear. To people who are not from Nigeria, they probably don't know what IGR is. IGR is basically how much taxes a state collects. Only in Nigeria is that important. Okay, let's finish with that. When people talk
Hold
about
on.
literacy,
See.
wait,
You know what? Okay, hold on, hold on,
I
okay,
want to add this.
hold
When
on.
people talk about literacy, they
Go
make
on,
it
go
seem
on.
like learning English. Oh, well, they're
Mm.
learning Arabic, so it doesn't matter. English is the language of computer science. It's the language that, I mean, most knowledge is being indexed in English. Python is basically English. So you're acting like these people are learning Arabic and they're learning math in Arabic and they're learning physics in Arabic. They're only learning the Quran. So when we look at the literacy rates, which we should look up because you guys think it's a myth, the literacy rates is double. It's almost double. I mean, and 100 is the max number. So if it's almost double, how much is literacy rate over there? Come on, guys. And they're not even, I don't know if they're learning Arabic or whatever they're learning, but they're not learning math in Arabic. They're just learning
Okay,
the